Yeah, okay. We are all right for now today. So, welcome everyone. I'm just getting things right.
Okay.
All right. Welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Renuka Thakur, founder of Global Sustainable Futures Network. And today we are having our Gsfn Zambia Global South Summit. The intention here, so first of all, about the house rule. Please keep yourself mute unless you take the floor. And whenever you feel to speak or you want to put any comments, raise your hands through the Zoom button, and feel free to put your opinions and comments. Please also introduce yourself in the chat button, the chat introducing yourself. Please write your name, country, and whatever the information you want to uh, exchange with the people. So please feel free to write about your projects and everything. Um, Mainly, the intention of this Global South Summit is to build the capacity in understanding what are the challenges and opportunities lying in front of Global South, especially in connection to two main challenges that the globally we are trying to address. And these two challenges are, one is NDCs, which is at national level, all national, at every national level, we have to achieve nationally determined contributions. And that is to contribute towards, increasing our share of how we address the climate change. And other is sustainable development goals. We have to understand what are sustainable development goals and how we can, contribute towards it from each and our individual activities, organizational activities, and also the national policies and practices. So there are two big goals in front of us globally, but at national level, there are again sub goals, and this all needs to be integrated between in or maybe drill down to the individual activities, because we can never achieve goal individually. We have to make a collective contribution towards these goals, and it is important that individuals understand that whatever the activities they are doing, but also at an organizational level, we need to understand how these activities or our businesses or practices um, contribute to these global objectives. Now, again, when I say it is a Zambia summit, of course we want to focus on Zambia to try to build its capacity, or we want to contribute towards from the Zambian perspective. However, it is also important to understand that many countries uh, equally have this problem or want to understand and build their capacity. So it is more about exchanging your expertise or understanding. Also, it is more about talking what challenges you feel in an individual way, what are the gaps between the knowledge and the practice, or the research and practice, and so on. And or also what are the gaps between the national determined contributions, like nationally what politicians or high level decision makers understand, and what people want and what people understand out of that, and how we can all collectively be complementary to each other and build a way forward which is more, climate resilient, sustainable, as well as equitable. We know that these NDCs, at a global level, we have in the Paris Agreement. So you must have heard about Paris Agreement, but what it is and how we can achieve is bit of a quiz for all of us, puzzle for all of us. And also, you must have heard about SDGs, and there are 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and we have to achieve them by 2030. Now, in both these goals, we are very, very far away from achieving the targets. And it is a need to expedite our processes, like the better practices to achieve it. It is not that something is not happening. It is happening everywhere at a segregated level, at different levels. And therefore, this summit is a platform where you can bring all together, understand what each other or one another are doing, and how we can bring these all complementary activities together and play a big role in uh, trying to achieve our goals. So yesterday was a first day of Global South Summit, where we had two themes. One was mainly focused on energy, and the second was industry. And today we will focus on Afula forestry, which is like Afula is agriculture, farming, and land use and so on. So it is an aggregate of many industries, but however, it is these are the terminologies that have been introduced in NDCs, and especially by NDC partnerships. NDC partnership is an UN body who works with national level, governmental, and non-governmental organization to facilitate the strategies for NDCs. And in this theme for today, between 8 and 12, we will try to understand how we can reduce vulnerability and strengthen resilience of livelihoods among forest communities. Forest sector is projected to contribute to 28.31 gigabyte carbon emissions equivalent in emission reduction in 2030. And that might cost us a lot, because if we want to change any practices, we need to invest in those practices. For example, like training, pilot projects, and then monitor them, and then report about it, and so on. And those costs are very high, for especially for these theme. It is about like 301.5 million. So and what I am thinking, I mean, my opinion is that if we all understand it better with such a forum, that what we want to do and so on, actually we are going to lessen the investment that we have. And especially what I feel, that investment needs to come within from our own existing resources. So it is about like understanding how we can mobilize our resources from one to another activity, how we can decrease that expenses, I mean investment, and what other investment might be useful, in a sense of, I'm not talking only about finance investment, but investing in time, investing in education, investing in work, developing skills, and all that can be more useful, more impactful, and facilitate that investment to be more productive, giving us the outcome that we want to achieve. So within this theme, we will try to discuss, reversing the growing threats to the natural resources, including habitat transformation. So how we can transform our already degraded habitat, encroachment, uncontrolled wildfire, and invasive species, enhancing community participation in natural resource management, because this strength is very important. Unless now we have thought that air and other natural resources like water, ecosystem, trees, all are just for free. They are given us as a gift and we have to use it. But now we need we have understood that we need to manage that, not only for ourselves, not only for our economy, but also for the future generation. We need to uh, take this legacy of what we already had, like 4 generations before, and we have to give back to the future generation. So it is very important. And we have to strengthen the management of natural resources. And again, there is some other things like, because we are in digital world, we have plenty of virtual apps and other things. We can definitely, put all these things into virtual platform and educate people how to manage our land use, forest and water and so on. But especially when we want to manage anything, we need to measure that first, that how are we doing it. And the measurement should be in qualitative and quantitative measures. So if we know that I have 10 liters of water, then only I will be able to manage. And that is very important here. So quantification and valuation of our natural resources and ecosystem is important. So how we do it, where we do it, how we can get into it, what skills we need, and all that is important. What practices are the current practices and how we can verify that these practices are better, and so on. And finally, operationalization of conservation plans for critical wetlands. So these are the topics we will try to touch on. And also beyond these, anything that comes to your mind, please feel to contribute to this dialogue today. And that is what I would like to uh, invite you to this summit. So thank you very much for joining today, everyone. And now I will invite Betty Wilkinson, who is from Zambia, and she is our lead partner. I must, I'm very, very grateful to Betty, and I'm very thankful to her because just a week before or 10 days before, she came into the play and she has prepared very well for her leading on Zambia. So welcome, Betty, again, and
Thank
please
you.
share your opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. So, everyone who's attending and those who are coming yet to come, welcome to the second day of the GSFN Zambia Global South Summit. The key for this summit and the key for the approach is to be thinking about how do Zambians and how does Zambia engage itself in the national processes of participation, of stimulating the relationships between North South, of engaging in communities, engaging in the government. How do we do this together? How do we make sure that the national contributions make sense and that everyone is benefiting, that the country is benefiting as a whole, and each and every one of us in the communities is also benefiting. I live in Zambia. I'm a resident here. I've been spending a lot of my time on these kinds of questions in the World Wildlife Federation and other places. I was I was CEO of Financial Sector Deepening for about 6 years. And now what I work on is, with like all of you, is how do we move forward together in the communities, at the national level, to make sure that we can have a more just society, a more participatory society, and certainly a better climate environment. So welcome to our summits. This is day 2. We are all going to, yes, I do know Jacqueline, I do know Ethel. She's sending me a note. So today we're going to spend a lot of time on forests. Forests are fundamental to our Earth's health. They are the lungs by which our Earth stays alive and healthy. We will be talking a lot about the relationship between the forest and the people and all of you. We're going to talk a lot about how reforestation, how biochar, some of these things can make a difference here. And you can think about this, learn about this, engage with the people online. And also later on, when you listen to this video, for those of you who don't make it, please, I encourage you to listen to the video, hear about the presentations, and understand better what's the circumstance of forestry and what can we do to keep our lungs healthy. So all of you in Zambia and abroad, thank you for attending. Thank you for being here. Thanks to Renuka and to the teams at Gsfn for how well we're doing on this and how much they're giving us in terms of ability to reconnect across the planet. So with that, I'll pass it back to Dr. Thakur. And thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day. I'll be with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for your, welcoming note. I would invite Anita. Today, she is the chair of this session, and I will ask her to take over. Anita, please take time to introduce yourself fully and let us move forward.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka. Thank you, Ms. Betty, for the warm welcome that you have given. And as Dr. Renuka spoke about, I will be the chair for today. I, Mrs. Anita Singh. I hope there's not a disturbance because the prayer is going on. So if it is okay, can I just mute for a moment? I hope it's not a disturbance.
No, we can't hear, so please carry on.
Okay, fine. I am Mrs. Anita Singh, and I'm an educator, basically by heart, but at the same time a passionate SDG ambassador. I'm residing in UAE, but I'm a citizen of India. SDGs, climate change around the world is very close to my heart. I am members of a lot of foundations, and Gsfn being one, and I'm grateful to Dr. Renuka for giving us this opportunity to be here and talking about Gsfn Zambia Global South Summit. I do a lot of work with children. I have been, advocating SDGs in education in UAE. I have taken sessions, conducted training sessions for the leadership because I believe that awareness and knowledge is first step for anything to be implemented. When the awareness is not around, it becomes a little difficult. So that is exactly what I'm doing over here as an educator. I encourage and promote sustainable living in the schools that I work in, and to the staff members and to the community which is around. I participate in a lot of volunteering activities because I believe that we need to give back to the society what we give from it. That is one of my main motto, and that's the reason why I also am here with Gsfn, because I believe that this is the platform which gives us that opportunity to do a lot of work and make sure that we are making, doing our little bit to make this world a better place. Today, I will be our chair, and we have excellent lineup of speakers who are going to be here and sharing what is to be done. I have written a lot of, and the best part is I didn't know that when I saw the speaker lineup, I realized that I'm going to be talking, and the speaker I'll be inviting is from the Arkbound Foundation UK, which is where just in December 2023, I penned down an article on SDGs in education. So that was a moment of happiness for me because I will be talking to someone who's I have written an article for a blog for them on how SDGs are important in education today and their relevance, that how it makes an impact and why it is that we need that climate education that even UNESCO is talking about. So this is my brief introduction. We will be talking about a lot that is happening. Now I hand over to to Dr. Renuka to bring in the second chair, and then after that we take it up from there. And I welcome all the participants who are here and the speakers who will be here.
Thank you, Anita. Let me see if we have our second chair. Just a second, please. Can you see them on the line?
I am not able to see them. I think they are
No,
not around.
so you can carry forward inviting people, or yes, please take your whatever, however you want to drive, please take on.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Renuka. So I hope the speakers are here so that I can call them accordingly. Just a moment. Let me just check.
Well, one of the Dr. Jackie has given me her message saying that she is here and she would like to use the time. So if we want to invite her to, and I think her presentation is very general, and I think that would really set the stage. So if Jackie,
Miss
go ahead,
Mrs.
please.
Waltrod is also here from Arkbound
Okay,
Foundation.
wonderful. Yeah.
So I would love to invite Mrs. Waltrod over here onto the platform for a brief introduction of herself and all the good work. She is associated with the Arkbound Foundation, which I said, and I sent her a message the moment I saw that. I sent her a message on LinkedIn saying that I'm honored that I'm going to be there sitting with you and talking to you and discussing the Zambia Global Summit, South Summit. And she replied back, and that was very kind of you. Thank you so much. I really look back to, having an interesting conversation, Ms. Waltrod. So over to you, Ms. Waltrod, a little brief about yourself, and then we can carry on, move forward from it.
I want to add here something
Yes.
about Val. She is very active, I mean proactive person. Like, she is leading on Arkbound very efficiently, and I'm impressed by her leadership. I always follow her. So welcome, Val. We would like to hear from you, please. You are on mute, Val.
Yes, hello. Hello, Anita. Hello, Renuka. Nice to meet you. Yes, I've been a founder member of Arkbound Foundation. This started already in 2015 in Bristol. It started off as a writing and publishing organization enterprise to support unheard voices and give people a voice, really, the ones who are socially disadvantaged, come from disadvantaged backgrounds, equality, diversity, social inclusion, equity. I think also quite a lot of quite a lot of disadvantage which are social, like people who are homeless, have like difficulty with education, had bad experiences during their lives. You get so many people who just haven't been cared for. Also in the UK, I mean, we have a really high homelessness rate, and we have the highest amount of people ending up in prison of the whole of Europe, really, which is not fair because we know that most of them actually have very difficult backgrounds, and about 2/3 of them actually have disabilities or neurodiversity and other things which have never been addressed or came up with no proper education. So there's a lot of work on just to make the society really fair. even in the UK and worldwide. We're reaching out worldwide. We publish books from different authors in the world. We sort of support projects. We're not a grant giving charity. We don't have big funds. We have to just make sure that we sustain ourselves really, but we can actually get people's books published through us, even if they are sort of very disadvantaged and don't have the sort of funds to publish it themselves, but we can make sure that they get supported through our funding page, and that the publishing fees actually get supported through it. And we have published books also from a few African authors. You have to need to have a look in it. We supported a sort of tree planting project also in Nepal, and a lot of other things really all over the world, which is good. And we sort of bring out the voices of disadvantaged people globally really. So we are also one of these enterprises which is Global Good enterprise. Yeah. I forgot the name now. I think I have to put a few things in the chat box. It's yes, I came a bit late. I had to do a few things. Also family care, and I work from home. Yeah. So, but all right, have to put a few more things in the chat box, and you can find out. And there's a lot of noise outside. There's somebody selling old iron. I don't know if you don't know that. So going around the street and shouting old iron. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and otherwise I've worked like my whole life for a lot of different charities, and for a lot of different organizations. Have been equality rep for different sort of women, disabilities, you name it, carers. Yeah. And myself, I come from Austria, and I've been in the UK now since I was a student. So I actually came as an immigrant as well, and had to wait 10 years till I even got the permission to stay here. Yeah. Right. So any questions? I'm happy to ask it. Otherwise, it's best if I put more information in the chat.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well, that was really, your vast, diverse background that you have. And the best thing is that Artbound Foundation is doing an amazing job of giving opportunities to writers to publish their books, which I think it becomes easy.
Fun? Was it a question?
No, there was not question. I think we have lost Anita.
Right, yeah.
So
yes. Otherwise, I'm also artist and writer myself, and I also represent Outside In, which is a European and worldwide organization to support outsider art. So art from people who just come from communities, and from people who otherwise have problems accessing the art world. Yeah, and lots of different other things as well I'm supporting.
thank you very much. There is
Yeah,
no
thank you.
question,
So
but
any other questions I put in the chat box? It was really nice to
yeah, there is no question, but there's a comment that your background is really good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I think I have lost Anita. Let me just check if she is in. Not to worry. I will invite Dr. Jacqueline, to present her presentation. Please, Jackie.
Renuka, I wonder whether it wouldn't be good that you put it on. Did you receive it on the? Otherwise, I can try. Let me just see if I can share it. I sometimes have problems sharing.
No worries. Where did you put the?
I sent it. We try. Can you allow me to share on the?
Yes, you are allowed.
I'm allowed. Okay.
Yeah,
let me see
please
if I
try.
can.
And if you're not,
Yes.
please tell me where you have sent me the file.
Can you see that?
We can see. Yes, we
Oh,
can.
brilliant.
Just put it
Okay,
on
that's
slideshow mode, please.
okay. Let me put it on slideshow. There we are.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, I'm going to go quite quickly through it because I really want to get you, I want you to get a feel of it. Valtrid, it's really great that you bring up the thing of art because it's something that I work a lot with. So this presentation is called A Pedagogy with a Heartbeat. So I think it also relates a little bit to Anita, who's talking about education, and Renuka, who's talking about the need for the younger generation to be also part of this dialogue around SDGs. We relate to many, many of the SDGs, goal 3, goal 4, goal 5, goal 10, goal 16, goal 17. I can go into more detail, but just very briefly, our work is citizen science, and it's we collecting water quality, monitoring samples in rivers. This is just an example of the kind of rivers that we're looking at, where, you know, cows are eating, the water is often just not good at all. And we're measuring nitrates and phosphates, and looking at sort of pesticides and things like that. And it's really important. And we're also looking at macrovertebrates in the rivers. This is a fantastic way of looking to see if your river is healthy. You see how many little insects are there in the water, in the sand. We chose 7 schools which are near the rivers. So these kids come down from their schools, they come singing, they come dancing, they've written poems, they tell you stories about water. So to make it alive, they come down to their rivers and they measure the water, the science part of it. But the whole the story, really, what I want to tell is that you're not going to understand science unless you open your heart to it. You have to be curious, you have to have joy, you have to have excitement, and only that way will science come into your heart. And some of these kids have said to us, I was frightened, I didn't know what a nitrate was, I didn't know what a phosphate is, but now I know, now I'm going to become a scientist. And these are people who will protect our planet in the future. They're people who start looking after their rivers. So basically, we do water literacy inside the classroom and outside the classroom. So there's this idea of movement, like the water moves, the kids move inside the classroom and outside the classroom. And these are just like posters and just showing some of the joy of the children engaged in this water. We don't write reports. We find that narratives are really boring. People don't understand them. They stay on the shelves. So we do a lot of graphic facilitation. We tell our stories through these kind of images that young learners and people who aren't academics with white gowns and degrees can understand. These are posters that this, like, our Mother Earth has a heart. We want to hear it beating. You know, these are the words that come from the children, and these are posters that we're putting in the schools for the kids. So I'm not going into details about citizen science, but this fits into our whole rubric of open science that's really going around the world. It's like almost a disease. People are doing it. They're finding out about birds. They're finding out about stars. We're finding out about water details. But it's this movement towards citizen science. And it's not just about collecting data. It's about how you interpret the data, what the data means to you. So science that's just out there is not something that's going to touch the hearts of people. It's not going to change the world. And I know this is something, Renuka, that you believe so strongly in. And I'm really honored to be part of your group because you've got that same passion that we need to, all of us, change the world. It's not just about being scientists and sitting in our confines. So this is just a slide that I like a lot, is get me out of here. Get me out of the library, get me out of the laboratory, get me into real life, get me into places where science matters. Don't just talk down to me about science. Let me live it. Let me experience it. Why does it matter that there are nitrates or phosphates in the water? What does it mean to me and my household, to my mom, to my dad, to my brothers, to my sisters? So these are just some of the faces of the kids. The project's called Diamonds on the Soles of Our Feet. This just, you know, the joy of being down at the river, outside the classroom, being part of science. So we've just come up with this model, which is a pedagogy of the heart, where there's water literacy inside and outside, and it's caring with the water, becoming through the water, connecting people to nature, engaging and feeling. It's this kind of entanglement with our planet. It's the entanglement with the water and the people. I mean, we're full of water inside, so we water as well. And just this is my last slide. Just quickly, that the terrain we're working in, and I think possibly those working in Africa and Kenya or other parts, or Zambia, I don't know, it's the same sort of, the terrain's difficult. The distances are huge. It's often very, very hot, or it's raining very, very much. It's not easy to get from one place to the other. It's really important to connect these schools to each other, because in rural areas, people are very disconnected. They're often very lonely. So to have a project like Diamonds where you can bring people together is really important. There's crime, there's alcohol, there are all kinds of things that are really very difficult for people, for communities to work with. So to bring them out of that and to bring them into something where there's hope, where there's dignity, where there's empowerment is really, really important. So we really are advocating this pedagogy with the heart. And this is just the fabulous team that I'm working with over there. And yeah, thank you, Renika. Thank you, Anita, for giving me a space in your session. And yeah, it's just great to have a group of people who I think have got the same motivation to really try and make the world a better place. And we're all doing it in different ways. And we just need to work closer and tighter together. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. I think what really touched my heart was that, science is not going to touch the world, it's the passion, as you rightly mentioned. And I think that is the key to achieving what we are planning to achieve by Agenda 2030, which is the SDG goals. So thank you so much for that. It's wonderful what you're doing. And you rightly said that schools need to be connected. Dr. Renuka would like to add something over here. So over to you, Dr. Renuka.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know why Jackie was in rush.
Oh, I didn't want to monopolize the floor, and I felt that maybe
it was
a dialogue.
so important, so significant message, and I don't know why you were in rush. So I have few questions for you, so that you can elaborate on it, and maybe it is for the benefit of the people. So, of course, you have explained what is science, citizen science, and I know you have worked on the definition of citizen science, and I would like to understand, I mean, for public and for myself, that why citizen science is so important. It is very, very important, as I feel. And so please explain your perspectives, why it is so important.
Okay, so there are different aspects. First of all, government. You spoke in your introduction, Renika, about government and the way people come together to make things happen and to improve the world. Government can't monitor rivers in remote rural areas. There's just too much. It's too difficult. The terrain's too difficult. The costs are huge. So that's the sort of hydrological void. There is a void, and I'm sure there's a void in many other areas, be it forests or so we need ordinary, and I say ordinary because they're not ordinary, they're extraordinary citizens to help us do that. So that's the one side of it. That's the data. We're not going to get data unless we involve people. But I'm much more concerned in the fact that through getting the data, we have a transformative potential. We can change the way people see or be. Like, these kids hadn't realized, that if they throw plastic into the water, they can choke the river. That kind of closeness to pollution or to their responsibility as community members to go to their moms and say, don't take plastic bags down to the river. So it's really that transformative potential of citizen science. So it's through collecting the data you can transform and become engaged citizens. So for that reason, we've just started a Citizen Science Association, Southern Africa, and I would love any of you in Zambia or elsewhere, because it's Southern Africa, to join this association. So most of us who are involved in citizen science are quite passionate about it as a new way to involve and engage communities and not be top down, but rather bottom up. I mean, we've been talking about bottom up since Chambers in the 1970s. Come on now, we must just get on and do it.
Thank you very much. I have few questions, but I will first allow Dr. Edward to come in because he has raised his hands. You are on mute, Edward.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, Dr. Ranuke, to be part of this. It's quite exciting to know what is happening outside there. First, I was wondering why Jacqueline was rushing out, because he wanted to engage her more in what she's doing. It's one of those few approaches that breaks the complexities in science into what can be delivered into the household. So we needed to hear more of this. How does, let me hear from Jacqueline, how they move from the postering into the real implementations by these people in the communities, because from the presentation she's just given, she's more like we are sharing a similar model on what we do in climate adaptation villages. But now, how does she move from the postering into the household so that these children can perform what they have learned in the house at the household level to bring a change that could be lasting? I would be glad to hear from this.
Thank you, Reverend Nyamde. If I may respond, I think involving the schools is really important, because as we all know, we see schools as collaborative. We talk about them as collaborative ecosystems. So importance of involving the schools is, once the principal's on board and once you get 2 or 3 teachers in the school involved, you start getting the parents, because the kids are producing things like they're making posters, they're singing, they're dancing, they have poetry. So when there are school events, the parents come and they can see, but wow, my child's talking about water. What is she telling me, or he telling me? What's the story behind this? So I don't think that it's direct. Sometimes it is, if you get a child who's very communicative, going to their mom and saying, hey, mom, this is what I did today. But it's more through the more formal, systemic sort of structure of the school that you start getting into the household. It's also through the school we get to the tribal authorities and the councillors, because they also get invited to events like, the prize givings or things like that. And you can showcase, like these posters, for instance, have been put in the foyer of the school. We only had enough money to print 25 posters, but we're hoping to get them in all the schools, because the life skills teachers are coming to us and they're saying, we've got to teach life skills, but we don't know how to make it alive. We don't know what messages to give the children. So as soon as we're giving them material, we're giving them posters, and we're giving them the kits to go to the rivers to go and measure nitrates and phosphates and turbidity, the life skills teachers have become very excited. And other teachers are saying, oh, won't you please come to my school? I hear you at Mara Primary. Oh, won't you come to Mara Secondary as well? So I hope this answers your question, but I think that's how one reaches the household, and that's how one makes change, and you get like some kids who've said, a couple of the children, they were in grade 9 last year, they're now in grade 10, and they weren't going to take science as a subject. Now they're really fired up and they want to take science. So those are our future, ministers, and our future change agents.
Sure.
I'd just like to add over
This is
here
great,
to
Jacqueline.
what Jacqueline said. If I may, I'll just add something to what Jacqueline already said, that yes, it is key that schools are engaged, because I believe that they are the goalkeepers. Schools are the goalkeepers where we can, get our students as the brand ambassadors. And I have been working with students in school, And as you rightly said, that that awareness is very important. And I'll just cite one example that when we did a climate action project, which we participate every year, it is a project that is, taken like around 4 million children around the world participated for 6 weeks. And it starts from the basics, that they tell that why it is important. So the children get to know the why of it, that why they are doing this. And then once the why is clear, then as you rightly said, children are all fired up because they believe that they are making a contribution to make this world a better place. So this starts working on it. And this project which our children, my school children, were working for the past 5 years, we've been diligently doing it. And the impact has been such that now the children go home and tell them, okay, you don't do this. Mama, you need to carry. We had one a grade 3 student who started collecting plastic or milk cans from around her community. And then she told her parents, now take me to the recycling plant. And so that I can give it over there and it is recycled and it doesn't go into the dump. So it is that important. This shows that how important it is to get the students who, as you rightly said, are the future ministers or the future society on board for this. And I think getting them involved, you get the parents automatically involved in it. The community automatically, by default, it gets involved in it and engaged in it.
Wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful.
Anita, if I may just say, the
Please carry
one
on.
reason, the one reason I rushed through is not because I want to take anything away, or because I'm in a rush, but I'm very conscious of this bombardment of information, of what I call death by PowerPoint. And in many ways, I think I get quite scared in presentations. I don't want to be part of this death by PowerPoint. I think dialogue's really important, and I was hoping just to give you a glimpse, but I apologize if it was too rushed. And next time, thank you, Renika. I will take my time.
Thank you. Thank you,
No,
Jacqueline. Thank you.
absolutely, Jackie, you are right. We are bombarded with plenty of information, and I definitely think that this dialogue after the presentation is more important than anything. Yesterday, what happened in our summit, that we had very little presence, and it was such a interesting talk going on because there was no set agenda of presentation or just to get you fixed on something. And that is what I think you mean. But absolutely. Now, while we are still having this conversation, I would like two things just came out of this discussion. One is three things I think, and I can go on four things as well. But spatially, data you have mentioned several times. And when the data word comes, people just think that, oh, it's mathematics, it's not my area. And so very important. But to understand, even in our simple lifestyle, if we don't know that I have a budget of say £10 in my pocket, you are not going to able to manage it. And so that is the simplest example I always give. And therefore data is very important, measuring and understanding what is data. So data is very important, and it can be collected in easily and in a great masses if citizens are involved. Secondly, there are also myths around people. And if they get involved in this science-based, which you mentioned that, children were afraid of what is nitrate or what is all these chemical products in it, in water and so on. But when they engaged, they completely understood and so on. So imparting science knowledge is very, very important. Actually, when I was in environment management course, I came to know about these things, what you are explaining, at the age of like when I was in a second or third year of my university, whereas children are learning from now. So it is so important that they learn the skills of experimenting things, research skill. And that is so much important, that you should research, you should experiment, and then understand the facts and stay with facts. So this skill of science-based knowledge is very, very important. And the education also came into this discussion, that traditional education methods are not really fulfilling the job that we need now, and therefore there should be this additional support to the education system, where this type of activities can be accommodated and do. Finally, I will talk about what Gsfn has in many, many areas, is that we are connected to, especially I think even Anita can talk about it. We are involved in, and Anita, please share few information on what the program which you mentioned, that is a global program, and 4 million people participate. It is immense, impactful program. So please share that with us.
Yes,
But
sure.
also we have Donna Gurin from Gsfn, who leads on studio classes, and she has online studio classes around the world, and many interesting topics have been discussed and are being discussed in that area. I always like, if you all are on our Gmail addresses, you should be able to get in touch with her and so on. And we are having a film actually this afternoon. She is promoting us like a film in Gsfn. So please get connected in afternoon. There is a huge big community called T4 community again, which is teachers community, and we are associated with them. There is one lady who called Jasmine, who is also pioneering on bringing excluded students around the world, or actually the students who need help, and she is also leading on that. So many, many things. And also I'm a promoter and ambassador for 1 million uh, climate youth sorry climate change youth program. So like youth does also, it also starts from the school, and these all things are advertised through our WhatsApp and other channels. So please stay connected and try to increase your connections, especially to share these best practices. So thank you. I will stop here. I think Sira Sheka has raised their hand. Please, Anita, you can take over on leading on it. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Ms. Seda, Ms. Seda, if you could just wait, because I saw Monica who had raised her hand when Dr. Edward was speaking. So, Miss Monica, are you still there? Otherwise, then Ms. Seda can go ahead. Miss Monica?
Hi, good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning,
Ms. Seda,
everyone.
just kindly wait. Let her finish it, and then you can take over once she leaves. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Seda, for your patience. Yes, Miss Monica.
Yeah, hi. First of all, good morning, and thank you so much, Dr. Renuka,
Good morning.
for providing all of us this great platform. I am always grateful to, attend this. And you are very knowledgeable. Uh, I think it's very informative summits you always have. You bring together multiple great speakers on this platform. So I'm so grateful for giving this opportunity to all of us, not only me. So uh, I have a question. I wanted to ask Jacqueline, since she is working on water water project. So I hope she's okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah,
Hi,
please go
Jacqueline.
ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. I'm very happy, first of all, since you are from Africa and you are working, and I'm in Kenya. So we can be in touch and we can sometime connect together and talk about what a project. And so I have a question here, not exactly a question, about a solution I would like to ask, because we have our partner in India who are working on 12 floating island projects in for water purification. So through those, sorry for my voice, I'm not keeping well and I'm traveling, so there are multiple things, but I'll try. So he is working on a floating island project for the I'm not a very expert in water projects, but since we are partner, we have started working on it, and I am learning about the process, how the water cleaning is been done in lakes and things like that. So he is working on this island project through sustainable solutions like floating island. There are benefits in microbial treatments and in those lakes, and they're being restored, regenerate and maintain these lakes through different chemicals. I don't know what all medicinal things they are using to clean the water. And through those islands, they are trying to do the biodiversity in those lakes, because they are trying to put those gardens on water, and under the water they are trying to give a healthy life to water animals like fishes and all around. I'm not sure whether you are aware of this model or not, but yeah, but I wanted to ask if it is, it can be done in other countries, and do you have any idea about this kind of models?
Wow, Monica, I'm the one who needs to ask you the questions. No, I have never heard of it. It sounds just absolutely fascinating and really very doable as well. I'm wondering why, like we've got big projects on Hartbeespoort Dam in Pretoria, and the projects in Lake Victoria, why none of this is being done. So I'm going to put my email in the chat. Please send me some contacts and I'll follow up on it. It sounds really fascinating. And thank you for sharing that information. That really adds a lot of value to the way that I would be looking at water quality in the
Yeah.
future. Thank you.
Yeah, even I am not very sure about what are the technologies they use for these ones, but they use two things. One is the island, and second is they use those products which are spread in the water and through those. But I don't know how much sustainable those products are. But the island model, I really feel, is a very good idea, because it's a give a nice view to the whole city, and if you roam around, and it gives a biodiversity thing. And under the water with those islands, because it's a natural process which they are trying to do. So with that natural process, the water animals are also getting a good life over there because of the trees they're planting over there. So yeah. So, but we'll connect. We'll definitely connect, since you talked about water. So I was really interested, and I wanted to share, and if I wanted to check whether this can be done in Africa, because they are doing this in India only, and they've already done 12 projects. So I really wanted to do something related to the water, because there are issues, and I personally myself have experience near Lake Victoria only. It was a bad experience when I visited Lake Victoria, and um, I was very scared after after visiting that place. So I really wanted to do something, if we can just help an awareness about the water, especially. So yeah, but we'll connect and we can talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. That's very, very helpful and exciting. Yeah.
Miss Wall wants to add something to that. Miss Wall? Yes, please.
Yes,
Please
I
go
just
ahead.
wanted to mention here in Bristol, I live in Bristol in the UK, and we have a Green party now who is running Bristol, and they actually put islands into the Bristol Harbour, which are made out of a lot of plants and small trees, just to clean the water. So this might be something, and they put them down into the harbor, floating harbor, because people kept on complaining about that the water is too polluted, you can't swim in there anymore. I mean, there's too much sewage going in there, and so I know a bit about these islands, which actually were made outside, like with loads of different sort of natural materials, and then with different and with plants and small trees in there, and then they release them in the water, and they were fairly small. I don't know how large you can make them, but I heard about that before. So this sounds a very interesting idea. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Miss Sarah, now you may join. Now you may say what I think you wanted to add something, Miss Sarah. Are you there? Sarah Sekha, you had raised your hand. Okay. In the meantime, Mr. Khalid, you may unmute yourself and speak while we wait for Miss Sarah to get back to us.
Yes, thank you. I'm so sorry for camera because I have not connection good. If I on the camera, I will lose the connection. But anyway, I'm Khalid. I'm calling from Cairo, Egypt. I'm so happy to be here for the global summit. I would like to thank first Dr. Inuka about all events I attended before. I was in the global event in Pakistan, and then in Egypt, and then in Kenya, and then Nigeria, and now here we are in Zambia. That's great work from Dr. Renuka. Let me back to Mrs. Jacqueline about your project. Actually, I'm one from the global group. We are musician actually. We're creating a group as an ambassador for, until now we are about 30 countries around the world. We create something, some project like climate education through music. I add you in my contact LinkedIn because we solve the trouble with through climate education and everything by music, and listen music and share song and dancing. We have all beautiful singers from 30 countries. We create this project, and we will editing soon by UNESCO and United Nations. Then I will talk that later with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Khalid. Miss Sarah Sekha, are you here? Otherwise, then I think we will take it up forward. As Miss Dr. Renuka had asked for the information, I would like to talk about the climate
Hi, I'm
action
here.
project. Okay, please carry on. Please carry on. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
sorry,
can. We can.
the
Thank you.
internet in the Gambia is
No worries. No
so
worries.
wacky. So yeah, thank you so much, Jacqueline, for that presentation, and then all the other presenters with all the great ideas. Sorry, I'm also working on traffic. But yeah, so I'm in Gambia, and first I wanted to ask Jacqueline if, and then this group, I don't know if some of the work that we are doing, it's extended to some areas in West Africa. So in Gambia, we are operating a school, inclusive education institution. I can say for the first time with this model, a lot of the schools are more kind of general, and so we bring in the climate education as well, climate smart education, all the disabilities inclusively serviced. And so what we're really looking for is straightforward strategic into introducing, like, bottoming up, basically getting the one. And so the also Gambia is surrounded by water.
We are losing you, Miss Ira. We can't hear you.
Yeah, she's driving, and so
Yeah.
that's the problem. But she will come back, I think.
Yes. Water, as rightly Ms. Sarah also mentioned, water is playing a key role, and Jacqueline had very
Mouth, which
rightly said that
is
water.
the Atlantic Ocean. That's the mouth
Yes.
opening.
Sira, can I ask you to stop your video and speak? Maybe that helps.
I had about Monica with lake cleaning, and that's and it's that think of collaboration, the climate, Amy.
We can, but there is a lag. I think we've lost her, Dr. Renuka.
No worries. We can continue, and if she comes
Yes.
back, we can.
Yes, we
invite
can
her.
do that. Yeah. So as Dr. Renuka was mentioning that about the Climate Action Project, where we have 4.7 million children from 162 countries who take part in that. This Climate Action Project, a little bit of information on that. We have Take Action Global, which is again is an international platform. They organize this, and it is a 6-week program. Yes, someone has posted something, I suppose. No. It is a 6-week program where everything is handed over to the teachers. So the teachers, it is not an additional thing what the teacher has to work upon. It is just that it comes, a ready-made platform is given to them. Ready-made lesson plans are given to them. PPTs are shared with them that how to go about it. The only task that which I train the principals in the school is that how they will introduce or get on board the teachers. Because generally, if we see in schools, we have always noticed that when we say that we want something to come onto the school board, teachers are a little hesitant because they feel it's an added burden to them. But this does not happen with this project. And we started off with around 90,000 students from around the world. We had 100 countries, and now we have 162 countries, and we have 4.7 million children, and the impact is humongous because children are becoming aware of it and talking about it. I'll share the link. If anybody is interested, I can share my mail ID also. If anybody is interested, you can definitely get in touch with me so that we can, proceed with this. So it's a project where the children learn first the why, then how, and what are the actions. Then there are little projects that they do in that. So the projects vary every year. And then the schools get an opportunity to showcase their school's work on the global, on the website. And everybody around the world can see what your school is doing, what the children are learning, and how we are trying to integrate SDGs into our school system. We also have our, I will say that SDGs, I have done that personally. We have integrated SDGs into our curriculum. So any chapter with any subject that is coming into it, we take one SDG and align with it. And then it is not that it's an added on task, but yes, what we do is we talk about it, that how we can do this in the class without the teacher having anything extra to do. So that is what it is all about, climate change action project. I don't want to take that up because right now our focus over here, of course, yes, it is a Global South Summit that we are talking about. And Zambia is the focus, but nonetheless, Zambia is part of the world, which is the entire population that we're talking about. I was a little interested in knowing, Ms. Jacqueline Golden, about what you said about literacy, water literacy inside the class and outside the class. So what is it that you look into it when you drew up a pedagogy of the heart? It's lovely. That's a lovely term that I've written down. I've noted it down. But water literacy inside the classroom, water literacy outside the classroom. I think oceans play a very key role in our world today because a lot of life and the what do you call that? I would say that the whole entire life system, the balance of the life system depends upon our oceans, and that is what it is. So how do you, or what is it that you have done when you are talking about water literacy inside and outside the classroom?
Thanks, Anita. Okay, so inside the classroom, we start by introducing the idea of a watershed, how your river near your school belongs to a much wider watershed. So we teach water literacy, the basics about water, the water cycle, the idea of a watershed, how what you do upstream will affect somebody downstream. So it's kind of an introduction to water. But what we do then is we invite the kids to write songs and poems and to do posters and to tell us stories about the water. There's a lovely story, for instance, that there's a cobra in the lake near where these the Lake Fundutsi, and if you make the cobra angry because you pollute the water, the cobra will come up. So the kids tell us these kind of stories. So it's a way of also tapping into indigenous knowledge around water and protection of water. So then we say, then we plot for the kids. We say, okay, this is your school, this is the other school, and this is the river near your school. And then we walk down to the river. We have what we call a blitz when we go down to the river with our water quality kits. And the kids then look at the river and they measure, is my river healthy or is my river not healthy? So it's this kind of what I talk about is these porous boundaries between inside and outside. There's inside this happening and outside it happening. So, and then they come down to the river singing, and you saw that one picture of, they're dancing, they're smiling, they're laughing, and they go down to the river. So that's that inside-outside classroom dynamic. It makes it more alive. It's not just, and even in the classroom, it's already alive. And I'm very, very keen. I'm definitely going to get hold of Khaled because music is just so important.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Yes, Mr. Khalid, do you want to add something?
Yes, please. Let me focus. Thank you, Jacqueline, about your project. I'm so exciting to do that with you because actually I'm music teacher first. Specific my work as music teacher, I have experience more than 20 years. I work with in international school in Egypt since many years, since 2000 until now. I contact with students from all over the world. As well, also, I talk 9 languages. That means I can support with my students in international school in multilingual because I have students from Russian, from China, from Netherlands, from German. I talk with them directly with local languages. I remember 1 year, since 5 years ago, I had 2 girls, one from Switzerland and one girl from German. They were in grade 11. They come only for 1 year and change family. That we send my students to family to other countries, and we invite some students from different countries. And those girls, they learned piano and guitar in their local languages. I taught them in German music because they want to learn music, not languages. We talk English only in the school, but about the music, it has own languages, own style. And then those girls, they were very happy because they learned guitar and piano in only 1 year. They didn't believe that. That's the environment. That's the climate change for students' life, not only in the weather, no, only in students' life. How you can contact with the students, how you change the life for the students to the right way. That's I'm talking about music. How can music support that for sure? I'm so excited to contact with you, Jacqueline, about for my group. Actually, we are now 30 countries. Professional singers, music. It's actually a music teacher and teach all kind of an instrument that I will move around the world because I have another project with Dr. Inuka. I'm so appreciate her because he support me for everything. That's also about my project. I will maybe I will share in this event also. My project maybe tomorrow, I don't know when, because I add myself to speaker about my project. My project talking about 3 things: computer science, music curriculum, and multilingual. Yeah, I hope I can do something for my family in Africa because I'm from Egypt. That's one country from Africa. Thank you for your listening to me. Thank you.
Mr. Khalid, I would like to add that you should be there for that movie that is going to be screened because Donna Gurin is going to be talking about it, that how music, am I right, Dr. Renuka, that how music was part and parcel of it and how it can impact and create an impact on children. So I think you
Yes,
should
sure.
be there at 4 p.m. when we are
Sure.
going to have that screening of the movie. And Donna Gurin is again one of the key, passionate SDG ambassadors, and she, I'm sure, going to be there in the afternoon at 4 o'clock. So you should be there to see that. Now, when
Yes,
we're
I
talking so
think
much
that
about
is a
what,
bit confusion. I think it is 2 o'clock, so I will have to check again. I
okay,
guess I would say be present in afternoon session.
yes, I would rather say that then, yes.
Thank you.
So yeah, coming back to that, we are talking about water and water resources, etc. So I believe that it is important that we, manage, that is, an integrated water resource management system has to come into place. But when we talk about this management, it has to be considering the needs of the agriculture, industry, and the communities while protecting the aquatic ecosystems. So, how is it possible, or what is it that is going to be the key? And how important are the policies which the government makes? Keeping these in consideration, because involvement of engagement of community and integrated water resource management, I believe that these will be key in ensuring, as the topic that we are talking about, that we are talking about reversing, the vulnerability and the strengthened capacities of communities, etc., in Zambia. So, how important, I would like anybody to take this up and speak about it. How important do you think it is for an integrated water management system to be implemented, considering the agricultural, the economical, and the aquatic ecosystem in place? Anybody who would want to add something to that?
Let
Uh,
me put a reaction, raise hand.
yes, Jacqueline?
So the only thing that I would add to that is the whole concept of IWRM, Integrated Water Resources Management, is about what they call the 3 E's: social equity, environmental sustainability, and economic viability. So I think it's great that you bring that up, Anita, because I think those 3 things, which have been kind of earmarked since the Dublin, the Rio 1990, whatever, principles, I think they apply to everything. They apply to the forests, they apply to energy. It all needs to be social equity. And I think that's where citizen science, the music, that whole conversation we're having, but it needs to be financial sustainability and environmental sustainability and financial realizability, whatever the word is, financial efficiency. So it's the 3 E's. Yeah. My feeling is, but listening to you guys here just really warms my heart, because I work a lot with hydrologists and biologists and chemists, and I often feel this language is lost with them, whereas I feel here today with the music, with what you're saying, Anita, with what Renek is saying, with what Walter was saying, Monica, it all, you seem to be integrating it so much better. You seem to be looking at the human aspect. There's been just, it's almost, in this paper I've just written, I've written about how emotions are often seen as this bull in the china shop. They seem to be breaking down keep emotions away. Emotions are something don't bring into science. And I will share with this paper where I'm writing about emotions. I think you need emotions because emotions break down walls. Emotions are the bull in the china shop, but not the bull in the china shop in a negative way. They're the bull in the china shop in a positive way. They confront things, this energy that young children have, the music that Khalid's speaking about. That's how we change, and that's how we will reconnect to the planet. We reconnect to our earth. We've done it wrong. Whatever we've done is wrong. So we just have to try a new way. And I think this new way with the heart and with the emotions and with the human side we will find solutions. I mean, Monica's solution with the island is brilliant. You know, we will find solutions. We can do it.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Hilary, I think you had raised your hand. Hilary?
Oh, it's fine, fine. So thank you so much. I just want to take this opportunity to say that the session has been very informative and I have learned a lot from our speakers. And first and foremost, when we relate water, we should relate water and actually green things, because when we lack water, that's where we are experiencing this drought. So we should ensure that we manage this water, and we can only do that through community involvement in participation. Like if we can work this thing in joy, because actually where we are heading to, we need to move from science now to like as in ethics. We need to go to ethics, because our community actually, they are missing a lot. And if we include climate information and climate action and localizing these strategies to see to it that we reach the overlooked community, because these are the people that they are close to our natural ecosystem that are very essential to our planet. So we need actually to involve, and we need to come up with green solutions that will actually empower these people and start making a living, because these are the problems that we are talking about now. Let's make them as an opportunity. And I believe through capacity building, and we say that capacity to prepare and respond to the challenges that we have. So we as the developing countries especially, these are the most things that are happening in marginalized community. It's not about me, it's about we. How are we ensuring that our community are being involved in this decision making? Because when we say about climate information, we need also to ensure that we localize these strategies to bridge that gap now, because these people are ready to learn, but they are missing the people to give them the information. Because I believe knowledge is power, but action is paramount. So we need actually to embrace actionable knowledge and move from science to ethics. So thank you so much. And I'm happy to be here to learn a lot. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Hilary. Thank you. Names. I'm sure that I hope I'm pronouncing it the right way. You've raised your hand. So if you could just unmute yourself and speak, please.
Okay, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Hello?
can. Yes, we can
Yes,
hear you.
Great. So I teach in a private university in the Philippines, Manila Central University. And in our country, there is always what we call the community extension program. So whatever we learn in school, this is extended to the local government units. We call them the barangays. So in one of my projects, I was able to connect to the people in the community, and it is in the area in Malabon, but the story there is really very polluted. And we studied that, and we communicated with the local government officials. And nevertheless, me and my colleagues were able to find out that the trees that were growing there have really they have uses that they were really sources of some kind of antibiotic. So they are really this sort of cure, because the water was polluted and there were it was heavily loaded with bacteria. And we found out that these trees, their extracts were actually able to kill those bacteria. So our proposal was that to keep the water clean, they have to avoid dumping their waste there, and the government can do something to dredge the water and then start all over, and then maintain and add more trees growing along the banks. So in that way, there would be some sort of restoration, even of those estuaries where used to be, right? There were good plants there, because these are really mangrove areas before, but because of the factories that were built along the banks, then the river got really dirty. And I hope in a little way, if similar situations occur in Zambia, then I think that would be a good way to start. Dredge the river and then put up plants, or maintain those plants along the river banks. And I'm really glad to have this opportunity because I have brothers and sisters in Christ in Sierra Leone as well as in Zambia. I'm a Bible Christian, and I'd like to share a bit of my experience, if you don't mind. I was baptized full immersion in water, and I received the Holy Spirit with the evidence of speaking in tongues in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. And should you be interested, then perhaps you can just email to me. And I'm going to put down my email in the chat box. Thank you very much.
Anita, you are on mute, sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Neves. It was wonderful hearing you out. And, I think this is what it is, that each one of us at our own level making an impact and trying to do what we can do best. I think that is what will produce results. And the passion, I think as individuals, when we are working, we bring in that kind of passion, which is very much needed at present. Science can be an added on support for us. But when we work with passion on the data that science gives us, I think the results are amazing. Then I think everybody will over here will agree with that. We had another gentleman, I think, with the hands up. I would like to call them first, Mr. Mugaro or something like that. The name, if I'm not right. Yeah. Yeah. Muguro David. Are you here? Muguro David. I think they're not there. Fine.
No, he is here. Give him time. I think he raised his hand.
Yes, he did raise his hand. So I wanted him to speak before we take it up forward. And we asked Ms. Wall to give her inputs in the conversation so far. That what is she? What?
I'm having a question.
We can hear
Hello?
you. Please carry on.
We can hear you.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. As I do what we call the waste management, especially on biodegradable waste. On water, there's this what we call the
We've lost you, Mr. Muguru.
See, this what they discharge our river streams of our big town. They discharge sewage water into the rivers. How can we go about it? Because it's a menace which can cause diseases like the cholera, blah blah. So how can we go about it? I've been in this industry for waste management for a longer time, and this solid waste management after the rain, after raining, those affluent goes up to our stream water, and even sometimes our underground water might be contaminated by that water. How can we go about it? How can you advise us to go on about that, especially on our local governments?
Ms. Jacqueline or Ms.
Thank
Anybody
you.
would like to take that up?
I can answer this question.
Yes.
Like hopefully show one case study that was shared with Gsfn 2 or 3 years ago, and I can share the video later on after finding that. Especially, you are very right that after the rain, all these, dried leaves or many other effluents get into the sewage and then they block it, and it's a huge problem of contamination and how to clean it and so on. And one of the person in Australia, they have devised some sort of sieve, which is in shape that can fit into this drainages and the outlets, and that can be easily taken out or cleaned, so that the whole area, I mean the drainage system, remains clean. I will share their name and also the video. And they have actually presented this case study to many governments and also to UN as well. So he is an ambassador at the moment for the UN Clean Water as well, especially in terms of drainage and other things. So it would be useful. Thank you for sharing that problem. I think what has happened with the urban construction, we have not taken care of these things. We have just what you say, believed that we will never throw waste. So first of all, it is definitely that practice of not throwing waste is important, but what you can do with the natural leaves and other things that fall and they are not clean regularly and so on. And we want nature also to have its right there, we want the nature as well. So how we can do that? In you, especially I want to share one case in UK. I mean, not one case. There are the policy that they have integrated sustainable drainage system, SURTS, and that is working very well. It is a nature-based solution. So what they do, naturally, they create several canals. They are not like a very concrete canals, but they are natural duct canals, which allow the water to flow out of that area easily and get accumulated and get into the naturally managed ponds type of area, where this water flows down and does not disturb the fields or regular urban area. I know about it, but because I will share these two examples with you, and probably we can work on it. It has to do with planning system, that how they plan for future urban areas. It also has to do with the practices that we need to move forward. So yeah, I will share these two examples with you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Renuka, for your thoughts on it. I would just, I'm
Thank you
very
very much.
inquisitive now to know that, yes, since we need to manage that, I would like to I would like to ask one question, that how important does it become then that we involve the community in a decision making when it comes to managing natural resources? What I'm talking about is inclusive decision making. I think that may solve the problem, because the people actually living and facing will know the problem better than the ones who just come for an inspection and then get the data around and move out. So how will anybody would like to, I would be happy for anybody to share their thoughts on it, that how is it, how much will it benefit and what will be the impact if it is an inclusive decision making capacity that we build in, where we involve the community, we establish community councils or committees that include representatives from various segments of the community. It can be women, that gives part to the women empowerment, then the youth, because they come out with fresh ideas, and the elders who have actually lived and experienced it. So when we involve such kind of community into any kind of a decision making, what do you think will be the impact, and what benefits can every country or every area or place or city which is facing any kind of a problem with regards to managing the natural resources, be it water, be it land, whatever it is? How does anyone would like to add their thoughts on it, that how does this work and what will be the impact?
Good
Dr.
question.
Edward
Yes,
has raised
but
his hands.
exactly. Carry on, please.
Dr. Edward?
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to respond to this question. One thing, there won't be one answer that fits all communities, but then I'll be glad to share on our model at the Bamboo Resource Center in Kenya, which is now getting replicated in other places. What we have done in Bamboo Resource Center is we've developed what we call climate adapted family living systems as a model, where we have used a quarter-acre of land to package all that we and our partners are able to do. This gives us an opportunity to showcase what can be done when minds come together. And then in 2021, 2022, we partnered with the National Environment Management Committee with support from Adaptation Fund. And we put up a strategy that is called Climate Adaptation Villages Strategy. In Kenya, we right now have 30 adaptation villages. 8 of these are within the Lake Victoria Belt, and we are running them from Bamboo Resource Center. In the Climate Adaptation Villages Strategy, we've identified households within a 10-kilometer radius of what we call an adaptation village hardware installation. An adaptation hardware installation is like what you are calling a school, but in our case, we identified some schools and health facilities. They donated land, and then we built up a community training hall so that we can have a continuous engagement with communities in the halls. We put up a solarized borehole installation so that the communities can have water. And then we also developed a demonstration center where we can demonstrate climate smart agricultural practices. And this is like we are picking up what we have at the Bamboo Resource Center into the villages. Now we are like spreading into the newer areas. And in these areas, we have brought in 7 community members in each adaptation village to manage their own adaptation village hardware. We call them a community project committee. The 7 engage 30 groups, registered groups within their area to form an ecosystem through which we can engage with that community whenever we want to pass in skills, information, and everything that we want to do with them. Now, the 30 groups represent a target of 2,000 households within a community. We also have 7 schools within that community that we also work with to also mentor the children. And in this approach, we have realized that community members, most of those that had little education, are now beginning to tap onto practices that help them, one, to mitigate household carbon footprints. They are also beginning to adopt new farming techniques. They're also beginning to build partnerships locally that were not there. And then they always identify their problems and channel this back to us. So I think one way that we can do is for those that have information to first of all model it in a place where people can learn it, and then to bring community members to help manage what they are learning, so that there is that indentured learning. Those that know mentor those that don't know, and then those that don't know become people who know, and then they can also replicate it to others. And gradually information moves on from the academia and it moves on to the households. So that's one way that we can use, engaging the family through what they're already running, but then putting up systems where they can engage with us and learn from us. I'm done, madam.
Thank you, Dr. Edward. I think we can add on to, making them engaged, and I feel that some incentive-based ecosystem services, like we give them incentives where the communities will receive any kind of financial incentive for managing and conserving natural resources. I think that makes it a little more enterprising and more motivating. Mr. Hilary,
Sure,
you
sure.
wanted to add something?
In fact, like in our case, you put in a microfinance system that we are just beginning to build up, because we realize that we cannot have grants every time to provide. So the little money that we raise up, we want to factor it back as loans and then train them on what they can do. so the little money gets sustained.
Okay, good, very good. It's nice to hear, as I said, each one of us at our individual capacity is doing what we can do best. Uh, Mr. Hillary, you wanted to say something? You wanted to add something to it?
Yeah, exactly. Hi, good people.
Yes, tell.
So let me just go direct to the point. Is that I did water resource management, and actually, when you say that we need to engage our community in natural resource management, this is what we need to do, because when it comes to protection of our springs in this marginalized community, if this community is well trained, and this is the activity that we are going to include in our ongoing project about green solutions. So actually, if the community is being involved in conservation of these natural resources like springs in marginalized community, they will be able now to take the ownership, and they will have that knowledge. Our major impact in our community is just to ensure that we reduce the information gaps on matters to do with climate mitigation and adaptation. So I prefer to mitigate because it is kind of a long-term solution that will enable our future generation to survive. So actually, it's a matter of community being at the front line when it comes to decision making, for them to understand that we are part of this eco system, and our main aim of being here is to conserve our natural resources, and by doing so, it is creating opportunity and making them to become the owners of their natural resources. That's the only way that will enable us to build a resilient community. Yeah. Thank you so much.
When we realize the importance of community being engaged in inclusive decision making or something, then I believe that it is imperative that the local governments then start creating the policy framework, because it just cannot be a random inclusion. It has to be structured, and for that, I think the local governments should support these kind of community-based, natural resource management projects. And for that, I think a policy, or I would say a framework, a policy framework is key to that. Would anybody like to add to that, please? Yes, Dr. Renuka?
Thank you so much for so important question, But what I feel that there are plenty of policies in place, plenty of spaces also for the community engagement. But how many of us take a responsibility to connect? It is also seen as a burden mostly. But why it is a burden? Because no proper guidance or no proper education has been given to us. Moral many years ago when I was very young, at maybe in 7 or 8 years, we had a subject called moral science. It is no more now in many schools, and we have got into many technical stuff, but not really associating ourselves that. And especially I think Hilary mentioned about management and ethics. It is so important to understand this ethical issue around everything, and also this moral science, like how should I, science is there, but then how should I execute my responsibilities and roles towards this science? For example, if I know something, or do we go and talk to people that is needed to be shared? No, we just think that, okay, well, I know that I'm doing my duty. It's okay. That's all we are confined to. We never take an extra step of even sharing with our family or friends that I do this. And sometimes, because it is something like outstanding, I mean, not in a trendy way, then you shy on doing that. For example, I never buy new clothes. Never in 20 years, not even on my daughter's marriage. And that is important, like I share, and why I do that, that is also needed to be shared. Otherwise, if someone say that, oh, this is an used clothes, someone has given it to me, or I have bought from a used clothes shop, someone would feel a bit shy that, okay, or it is a judgment thing for a person that, okay, that person might judge me that I don't have money, or I don't have appetite for good clothes, or something like that, or I'm not so presentable, and many other things can be judged out of me for that reason. And so I don't share my good practice. I believe that that is a good practice, because it at least saves virgin material, and I'm doing one sort of something that I believe in. But how many of these people take an initiative to share like this just because of a judgment? And I think that is more important, that how we exhibit our role and responsibilities. There are plenty of community engagement space, and especially now this social media has provided us a big space. And today the Zoom calls have also so technology is helping us, and I think we should take most of it. So I will stop here, and please continue.
Rightly said, Dr. Renuka. Thank you so much. Yes, we sometimes hesitate in sharing the good practices that we follow. And as you said that I will not say that I do not buy new clothes, but yes, I do. But I try to pick up clothes even which are used from some of the thrift stores. And as you said, I have experienced it, that when I told my colleagues, because I was wearing one of the blazers to the school, which I had picked up when I was in UK, Sheffield, visited my daughter. So I wore that and they said, oh, it's lovely. Where did you get it from? I said, I got it from one of the thrift stores. And immediately I could see their reaction change. That, oh, you've got something which someone else has worn. I said, as long as I said, I'm not adding on. I said, these are small little ways in which I think individual capacity, one can make sure that you are not adding on to the landfill, which is one of the reasons of global warming, be it food, be it the waste material that we have. Whatever we can recycle, whatever we can reuse, whatever we can, we should do it. So now coming on to that, Ms. Wall, would you like to add something to it? Because I saw you were quite interested and you were listening to Dr. Renuka and to us. So if you would like to add something to it. Hello, would anybody like to add something to this? Otherwise, then we can move on. Okay, fine. Let's keep moving on. Now, when we spoke about policies and framework, so how will one know that? I believe that any relationship, whether it is a government and a community relationship, whether it is one-to-one relationship, I think the key factor is trust. So how can one build that trust with the community? The local government can build that trust with the community to make them feel that they are part and parcel of it, and it is not just a kind of a an eye wash where you are just involved for namesake. So what can be done to build this kind of a trust? Anybody would like to take that question up? Because I believe that trust is the key for any relationship or anything to become successful, to be implemented successfully. Yes, Mr. Hillary, did you just raise your hand?
Exactly. So when we talk about trust, actually, we should know that what we are doing is not that we are doing just for show. This is a call for a costly compassion, whereby we need to seek justice, we need to participate in redemptive action. And you know, when we say that we need to have a trust between us, it means that we have the same goal, and our goal is to better our environment. So having all this knowledge that we have, what we should do is that if we can actually, we are talking of engagement, involvement, and inclusivity actually. So if actually you can include like we can move as one people, right? We can move as one people and ensure that we have a goal to better our environment. It means that now we shall build a trust within us and among us like self. So by working joyfully, like what do you want to achieve? Because as I have said is that this is a call for costly compassion. You are being called to serve. And when you are being called to serve, you should ensure that what you are doing it is actually sustainable in a way that it is ensuring an inclusivity. Yeah, I have a lot to say, but let me just leave it there. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hillary. I have one of our colleague and a member of Gsfn, Mr. Michael. Would you like to add something to it? Mr. Michael?
Hello, Anita. I just want to say something real quick.
Yeah, quickly. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to consider why this urgent action needed for climate change. With the benefits of human or the human health benefits, considering the fact that reducing short-lived climate pollutants will actually prevent millions of premature deaths each year from air pollution and climate change. And so with respect to human health benefits, we all have to come into consideration with a warmer climate increase for the public health challenges like the heat-aggravated illness with respect to vector-borne diseases and as well a decreased access to safe water and food. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alexander. So I think we'll continue with it. If anybody else has anything to say, yes, Dr.
I
Renuka.
want to add just few things here.
Yes, Dr. Renuka.
We are having multiple. We are focusing on multiple areas here, like natural resources, forest, water, and all these things are very important. Natural resources are really very important. But why it is important for us to connect and see their impact? How the climate change is impacting our natural resources. So with the growing temperature, what will happen that and mainly many of us mention about the diseases. What will happen with the increase in temperature? The invasive species and the disease, like because our natural resources will degrade, either it would be flooding or it would be drought, and extreme events will be for longer time, and also the impacts will keep on changing as we move forward many after the longer terms, like it will keep changing. So we also, the uncertainty about what is going to happen next is also going to be a huge problem for us to understand. And when these natural resources are impacted by adverse impacts, they will degrade in one or the other form. And that will invite invasive species and the diseases to attack these natural resources very easily. And we will be having more and more problems. And therefore, I think if we start understanding what these mean and how we can manage, that is a really good thing. But you are asking how we can build the trust. So I think facts, first of all, facts are very much needed, that no, this is a fact, and also having a positive mindset about those facts, and not looking at the misinformation that has been being spread out. So you need to first of all understand what is the better, like good information and bad information, or information and misinformation. So, and who has spread this information, where this information comes from, if it comes from the scientific level or some really authorized level, maybe government has issued this, but and then you should believe it first of all. But also at the same time, these WhatsApp and other forwarded messages, what they do, they come and they spread out so much, and sometimes they look as if the government has advised or something has done, but actually it is not, it may not be the case. So you have to be very vigilant about all these things, that what I am reading, and you can look at 2-3 different sources, then look at, as if you are researching that topic properly. And if you feel that, okay, many sources are telling me the same thing, then believe in that and then try to act on it. So it is like, we have to be now researcher at every time. We look at different sources, and are these sources reliable? These two things are very important. And what are the facts? And along our own experiences, you will have a gut, you will have that feeling, no, I think this sounds good, but sometimes you will also feel that, oh no, I don't think this is really sounds reasonable, or this is not truth. Then check it out properly, and also advise your friends and families to do that. Even at this age, like at 60, and even with having so many connections around the world, I speak to my daughters, I speak to my husband, is this right? Do you think that is right? And because they are in different areas, and we might get different perspectives, so it is always better to share, check, research, and then believe. And if the government now, the role of government is very important here, to bring specific facts and not extravagant statements which relates nothing, like actually, for example, current scenario with space station and the people who have gone in space, and there is a huge news, like spreading out or sharing out that they are going to die, or there is no resources, there is only very limited resources, and so on. And my daughters are in space industry, and I asked them, what is this about? Please tell me. And they said, no, this is mainly about the data collection, mainly about, actually those who go in space, they always sign up for such tragic or highly, risky things. And it is all about, like, they are trying to put a proper management system and systematic help for them, but it is not something that people tell in news, because news are about making sensation, making heat, and like how many hits I get, how many views I get. It is all about that. You should understand their business, but they have lowered down their ethical state. They should be going beyond and understanding and how to produce those news to people in a reasonable way that even a common person can understand, and so on. So I will stop here, but this is all I think we need to think about it. And never trust your forwarded messages. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka. Yes, absolutely. You have hit the nail on the head. And I think their digital literacy comes into play. And that's why the reason now schools are focusing on digital literacy, because that's very important, and media literacy. When we talk about media literacy, it is about children knowing how to verify whether the information that has come to them is the right information. Because there's, as you rightly said, there's so much of misinformation floating around the world that there's a very fine line between what is right and what is not right. So how children will be able to, and as you said correctly again, once again, that we need to be researchers at every stage and also use our own rationale to think that is it possible, or what I'm reading, is it right? Because what's coming on to through WhatsApp. WhatsApp is flooded by forwarded messages. I don't know how many come in through every time. So we have to, and that's why digital literacy becomes very important for our children. And the science, the literacy, the climate science becomes more important, because then people are able to at least discern whether the information that has come to them, whether it is right or whether it is wrong. When we're talking so much about it, I thought I'd just read at Akampurira. Yes, you may speak, please, and I'll carry on later. Yes, it's over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm glad to be part of this. I've been listening in, only that when you called me on phone, my network was a bit low. I want to appreciate this topic, and my concern is most of us who are running enterprises in communities, we are supporting the local people. And so my question is, how do we integrate this science to benefit the local people, including those who have not gone to school? And I think that's where we've been having a challenge. There are many projects we run in communities, but how do we ensure that communities contribute towards climate change each day? I run a network of organizations called Ujamaa Empowerment Network. And here we are promoting organic farming. We are ensuring that communities increase household income, but also ensuring environmental conservation. So we want to see, how do a local person contribute towards climate change? We get a lot of course, in Africa, our backbone is agriculture, for example, but what type of agriculture do we support? We buy these pesticides and herbicides, and this is what we are supporting communities to use in order to produce food. And to us, that's why we focused on organic farming, where we help our farmers to understand that they actually have their own local science. How do we use our locally available materials? We can talk of like red pepper, we can talk of ash, we can talk of urea, to come up with our own concoctions, which we can use as herbicides and pesticides. This is science which we are not promoting, but this is science which our own people can easily understand. This is science which can actually help us to protect the environment. But the people, the elite, the people who have gone to school, we are promoting inorganic pesticides, which we all know that it has an effect on our soils, it has an effect on the environment, and also on human health. So to us, that's where our focus is, that the science, the research we get, how do we integrate it into the local people? How do we help them understand that it is their ultimate role to protect the environment? Because when we protect the environment, that's when their lives will be safe. So a lot of this information is going to the elites, the people who have gone to school, but the people we serve, we have people who have not even gone to school. How do we ensure that they become a part of this? So to me, that's where our focus should be. And going forward, we need to take our discussions into how do we integrate this information to benefit even those people, that class of people who have not gone to school, both the young and the old. How do they take part in preserving our environment? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Akampurira. Before I hand it over to one of our speakers, esteemed speakers, to talk about it, I would just like to, what I believe that can be one of the things is that creating that awareness. As we all rightly will agree that awareness is the key, because until a person is aware of a kind of any problem, that will not lead us to work towards finding a solution. So that awareness is actually missing, because everybody feels that it is not my responsibility and it is not, I'm not affected by it, or even if I'm affected by it, there's nothing much that I can do about it. So I think holding workshops or, training sessions or something like that for the community, even for the people who have not been educated. And again, coming back to the grassroots level, as I said in my first statement also, that schools are the goalkeepers. Hence, it is important that we train them young so that when they grow up to become the community, they are aware of what is happening. The problem and the concerns are more highlighted because many of the community members are not aware of the consequences and how their actions are impacting what is happening to the climate around or to the natural resources that are around. So first, I would like to say that creating that awareness by conducting sessions, etc. Then second, as you are already doing, involving them. Just by involving them, great initiative. But what you need to do is that you also share the reports of the impact that their involvement is giving. That helps in building the trust because then they know that, okay, fine, what I am doing is helping in some way. So then that enthusiasm and that is motivating for them to call up so that they are able to, be more actively involved in it. I can think of these two things which I feel that will be able to get them on board for the projects that you want to do and for the great work that you're doing. I would like one of our any of our esteemed, speakers to add on to that, please. Anybody here? Dr. Renuka?
Yes, I would like to add. I was just wondering, like I saw the legacy hand, but anyway, it is lower down now. So yeah, especially what I think about, and I completely agree that practitioners or anyone who is doing business and they are doing really good business, probably I have seen that 80% of people who are in business like practical things and therefore they do not like learning, do not like books, and do not like to go to school. But there should be some sort of training, and there are plenty of, especially when I read the comments here, that and plenty of our audience are working with agriculture and the land use, and people who have not gone to formal schools. I think there are night schools, or maybe just chit chat, bring people together and allow them to exchange the views. That is what is again a learning environment. Have some facilitator who can direct the dialogues towards that same, just was what we are doing here. uh, it may not be in a very sophisticated way or something like that, but we should have some focused dialogue, and even people with listening can understand then that, okay, I have never thought of this, but I do experience this problem, and that is my problem now, and I can maybe apply this solution. So certainly there should be some community engagement. I would say that is whether your community is small or big or whatever age or whatever sex, in a sense of female or male or whatever, elderly group or industry, whatever it may be. That is your community, and I think community engagement is very, very important. I would believe, like I'm also surprised that why this large organization, or at least the organization who are in business and who are doing very good things, they have public relation manager, PR, and also they have like a newsmaker, I mean, what to media people, that what should go in media. But these are only very passive way of engaging to community. There is no networking or no proper discussion. Community engagement should be a very proactive space where community come and talk and engage with these people to understand what are my problems. Because even being in, like in a system where you do regular things, you may not realize that is a problem. For a woman, for example, I'm just giving an example. It is a rare example nowadays, but initially, many years ago, or not even many, but 20 years ago, It was a routine for a woman to walk to 6 miles and bring 2 or 3 buckets of water. It was a routine. She never thought that she should go away from these. She actually thought that it is her duty to bring this water home and feed their family and so on. And so if you have not got that opportunity to think also that this routine is a problem to me, you will not solve it. So it is something like with invasive species or with your best practices, so moving away from one practice to another. Because you are in that system, you always think, okay, that is my duty, that is my responsibility, I will do it, whether it is hard or not hard. But you have to get out of that box, out of that constraint, to engage with people and understand, okay, yeah, these are few opportunities, and so I can move to it. Now, let me tell you, with the again, I am not so don't think that I'm always advocating social media, but there are plenty of free courses on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and many other, like Facebook also have now. And even if you Google, just Google on Google browser, you will find free courses where you can understand and you can learn, and that will give you a flexibility of learning in your own time. Actually, you may laugh at me, but I don't have a dishwasher, uh, electric dishwasher, so I wash dishes on my own, and I do specifically dishes uh, between 8 and 9 at night, and I always put my earphones to listen to YouTube, and I always try to identify learning video, so that I can learn something more about it and so on. So I make sure that I give 1 hour of my day to learning things, and that is how I have grown. And I think you should have make some time to learn about what you are doing and so on, and teach yourself that how should I move in this space. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka. I think lifelong learning is the call of the time now. Everybody needs to keep upskilling, updating, and learning something new, because I think that gives it adds on to a new perspective to whatever you have already have in your mindset. And the best part of learning is that when you continuously keep learning, your mindset changes, not from the fixed, it becomes the growth mindset, which is what is important to adapt, to be resilient. You need to have a growth mindset. So thank you so much for that, Dr. Renuka. And anybody else would like to talk something about it? Otherwise, I think I would like to talk briefly about the Convention of Biological Diversity that was
Yeah,
established in
before going
1992.
before going to that topic, actually, we will touch on that topic. But someone has, if people are not reading the chat, I would like to just mention that someone asked me about um, that how to eradicate invasive plant, which is Dodder cascuta. And I have put a link there. So there is a huge problem of invasive species around the world, and they encroach on the plant when the land, when the land is degraded, and or even if it is healthy, it can encroach, but it can encroach more when the land is degraded. And when you are in a degradation position, you are not even fit to address it immediately, and many other things are problems. So I have put a link where especially they explain about this invasive plant. But also I would just make people aware that CABI is an institution which specifically works on these invasive plants and how to address them, how to manage them. They have a huge, big directory of things. Of course, that is you might think that it is more about academic work, but it is not like that. It is about everyone, people like you have put some information and they have made it more academic so that people can refer to it and so on. So if you can, I will put a link, maybe you will be able to individually join that directory, or you can just sign up their newsletter, because in newsletter they put plenty of information also how to manage and so on, and that would be really interesting to that. So I will put that information here in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka. Yes, Miss Wall, would you like to add something to it? Ms. Waltrop? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
No, I just wanted to thank you. It's just so inspiring. It's so wonderful to meet with so many different groups and organizations from all over the world, and it's just fantastic, really, just to be part of this group. Yeah, one of my sons, he's a journalist. He went to Kenya, like when he was a student, to help out there as well. And there are a lot of other connections who are very interested in sort of supporting just to make the world more equal, really. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Could we also answer my question that I put in the chat? I'm not sure if anybody saw it.
Yes, Ms. Kimi, please, if you can repeat your question, then we'll ask someone to take it up from there.
Sure. So going back to the conversation about incentivizing communities with payments to protect and restore their environments, I was wondering if someone could comment on the possibility of winning external climate finance by combining environmental protection with mitigation and carbon sequestration, such as paying communities to rewild or reforest marginal farmland to create carbon sinks and promote climate adaptation. I was hoping
I think Dr. Renuka will
also
be able to address that, because Dr. Renuka is aware of a lot. She keeps sharing with us a lot of links where there are the funds which are there, possibility of someone applying for it, and then if they meet the criteria, then definitely there is a possibility. Yes, Dr. Renuka.
Thank you very much. But if anyone else can add, please do. So where are you based?
I'm currently based in Spain, but some of my colleagues who are going to be coming to this summit a bit later are based in Uganda and Ghana and
Sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was not a big question. I just was interested to know where are you. So that is not an issue. Thank you for the very good question, because everyone is after afforestation and also like trying to address climate change with mitigation and adaptation, these approaches. So I will just talk about, my experience and understanding of UN and how this all relates to us. Okay, so I was recently in SB 60, and many of you may not know what is SB 60. You must have heard COP, and COP is, Congress of Parties, where you come together for some agreements, and it is a leading for an UNFCCC. So UNFCCC is a unit which is on climate change, and it leads on COP conferences, and in these conferences the most countries have signed up to address climate change collectively and also work on forming policies and practices and some targets to achieve in certain year and so on. Among these all, Paris Agreement is very important because we have decided that all countries have collectively signed up to achieve certain reduction by 2030 and net zero by 2050. and meaning that we will be okay by 2050 to be within the scenario of 1.5 degrees centigrade, and we will have enough a better environment to live and continue our life beyond that. And also to provide, a better environment or natural resources to our future generations. So that is one important thing, and that has induced some responsibilities at national level who have agreed to this target to identify national determined contributions, and they are working on that now. As this is a very new area and many of countries are at different stages, what I mean by different stages, that developing countries have emitted carbon emissions so much that they have to reduce carbon emissions. Whereas other countries which are developing countries, they have increased their carbon emissions. However, they have to go through the development cycle as well, and therefore they have to be very careful about not increasing carbon emissions, but also increasing their development. And the another thing happened in loss and damage area, where they mentioned that, okay, before going to that, there are two approaches to address climate change, which is one is mitigation and one is adaptation. And mitigation is more about decreasing carbon emissions, and adaptation is more about adapting to the impacts of climate change and becoming more resilient. And so there are two approaches. And here you have mentioned about two approaches. Now, again, I'm going back to UNFCCC. There are two subsidiary bodies who are working for contributing to UNFCCC mandate. Now, these subsidiary bodies are formed from 60 years, and one is SubStar and other is SBI. SubStar is a subsidiary body for scientific and technology advisory, and the SBI is subsidiary body for implementation. And these two bodies meet together every year in June. And so this time I had an opportunity to, attend SB60. And that was a very big learning process for me. And within these subsidiary bodies, there are plenty different units, such as adaptation, mitigation, technology, loss and damage, gender equality, just transition, and all these things stay there. I mean, all these bodies stay there and they work towards achieving their targets and contributing to these, our climate change goals, as well as sustainable development goals, because we have now these two complementary areas that while we are addressing climate change, and if we are addressing climate change as just one off, we will be increasing plenty of inequalities. Or maybe this is an opportunity to address the inequalities as well, and therefore we are including sustainable development goals also alongside. So these two are parallel challenges we are addressing at global level and at a national level. Now, when it comes to finance, there is a Green Finance Committee, which is again a legacy committee, which helps to provide some finance at a national level in order that these countries become ready for addressing climate change. And that is called Readiness Program. So NDC Readiness Program And there is another unit called NDC Partnerships, who directly work with national governments and form a consortium of many other organizations who can help them with all this. And they work on strategies and policies and practices that are at a national level they should understand. So it is for governments. And these all people are called parties when they go to these COP and SBs. In June, most negotiation happens in June in SB 60. And the agreement is done in COP. So these are two things always happening twice in a year. And everything is public. The biggest challenge here is that these all things are happening at a high level, political level, and they have plenty of policies in place. For example, Climate Change Act in UK was introduced in 2008, and many other countries now have this Climate Change Act. But we sometimes don't know what that means and how we should engage with that. Through that Climate Change Act, they have budget. I mean, carbon reduction budget. And they have to, and so for them, they have to compulsory, calculate carbon emission at country level and then budget it at sectoral, even at sectoral level. And then they have to budget it in saying that, okay, we will reduce 40% of our carbon emissions by 2030 and so on. So likewise, UK has committed to reduce carbon emissions by 80% by 2040, and then becoming net zero by 2050. And because of that, now we are having these, incentives of electric cars, or maybe reducing energy use in buildings, or maybe having a smart infrastructure that would be more efficient and use less energy and so on, or increasing forest so that it can decarbonize, used as a sequestrants and so on. And that is what here the question is. So sorry for a long context, but I thought it is useful for us to know and share this. Now, coming to this climate finance at a national level, wherever you are at a in any country, you have to get engaged with the focal point. There are several focal points for all these committees, like adaptation committee focal point, mitigation committee focal point, finance committee focal point, and there are plenty of focal points. These focal points are accredited bodies who help government to get grants from GEF or GCF, Green Climate Fund. So the first thing is to understand what is going on in your country. Do they have this priority? What they have put in this priority, that what they are trying to achieve. And if your project relates with that, then you can contact the local government focal point within that area. So one approach is that way. Second approach is grants. Again, that is also grant, but another approach is through education. Now, with the education, it is a very limited grant and very competitive, because it has a specific criteria about what you can do. It has to has a learning module, it has to has a research module, it has to has module in a sense of some work plan, and it has to has a pilot project. Now, what I can, if you are connected to our WhatsApp or other groups, I share plenty of these things. But especially because I'm in UK, I am limited with UK. but there are plenty of other grants going around in the world. And even if with the Google search, you will find them. So I would say take a lead in that way. Another thing, that is one thing to go for grant, but another thing is that what I personally believe is that if you have a project, please put it in the paper first of all. And it should not be very long, but it should be just 1 or 2 pager. Especially, what is your project activity? Who can engage with it? And what impact outcome would be, and what impact it would be, and what methodology you will use to deploy it. If these 5 things are there with your project, then we are happy to share it out within that community or within that country or internationally, so that people can connect you. And then we can if the project is really, really ready, that people are happy to accept it, I think finance will come very easy. So first of all, you have to have your project ready in place. Another thing I would like to announce here is that I am going to start from the first week of July. I'm going to announce soon, which is called Science Mission for Sustainability Hub. And that we are going to, for now, we have decided to host in Nigeria, but it will be for a whole global South, or I mean, especially for Africa. And other countries are also in pipeline, that way we will try to do. And within that, we will try to, promote or, support such projects and bring investors and other expertise in it, so that each one can help one another. So I will stop here. I think it is a long answer and not a perfect answer, but this is all what I am thinking and I wanted to share with people. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka. I think, it was not at all long, because I think everybody wanted a little more of it to get the details. And Ms. Kimi has already written in the chat that, can you please put those 5 points needed for a paper in the chat? So if that can be done, then that will be wonderful. And I would just like to add over here, Kimi, the Rockefeller Foundation and the Ford Foundation, they also, give small grants to incentivize the community to take care of their sustainable practices and protect their natural resources. While Dr. Renuka was speaking, I said, okay, let me do some research and see that what are any other funds which are possibly there, so that wherever anybody can get a little help from, that will always be good. And these funds, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Ford Foundation, they support the community so that they are able to, take care of protect their natural resources. So that more or less will be able to there. And then, of course, you can go ahead and do as advised by Dr. Renuka, because as I told you before I handed it over to her, that she has a lot of information on that, and that's why I asked her to speak about it. So that's what it is. So there it is, project objectives, activities, methodologies, outcomes, and impact. This is what your project should be reflecting in those 2 pages, so that when anybody reads the project, they know what you're starting with, what the impact is going to be, and how it is going to benefit the overall sustainable goal. How is it going to achieve it? That's what the basic thing is going to be. And then after that, you can do what is best. Provide them with I'm sure they will ask you for some evidences. So those evidences should be in place. Your data should be in place, that whatever you have done, how it has created a positive impact, and that will add on to whatever the funds that you're applying for. I hope that solves your question, Ms. Kimi.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm wondering if Ankit Paria is also still on, if he can also comment on maybe some more kind of specifics about the potential projects involving like rewilding, marginal farmland. Yeah.
Sure. Hello. Were you saying something, Mrs. Kimi?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was asking if Anka Pereira, sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, can also comment because he was talking about organic farming and working with communities.
Yes, of course, sure.
Thanks.
I don't know whether he's there. Can you see him? Mugoro, right?
It looks like he's on, but he's muted.
No, I don't think he's there. Dr. Edward is not here, I suppose. No, I don't think he's here. Hillary, would you like to comment something? Yeah, Dr. Edward is here. Okay, fine. Dr. Edward, would you like to answer that? Ms. Kimmy has a question.
I was a little bit, at a visitor, I was disengaged, so I might not be able to put in a valuable answer.
Okay, no worries. That's okay, perfectly fine. I know this, the summit, of course, is a long session, so definitely, you know, we all have interruptions in between, and that's perfectly fine. We all understand.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
now
you.
coming back to our topic for the day, which is again agriculture, forestry, and the other land use. That was the main thing, and it is not only confined to Zambia, but it is an overall world, all around the world. What are the things and the strategies that can be used in? So we spoke about community participation, of how we can get. Yes, Dr. Edward, would you like to say something?
No. I'm
Okay, fine.
following.
Yeah. So we spoke about how communities participation is important to ensure that we can able to maintain the natural resources in the right way. So how do we now come across? We know that in Africa especially, there are a lot of areas which are for games. When I talk about games, you know that we are talking about, I'm sure everybody's aware of it. We are talking about shooting, where they have going around wild hunting and etc. There are those areas that are specifically there. So I would now want to talk about it, that what is it that can be done specifically? Because at the end of the day, we have a lot of animals that have become extinct because of over gamification, I would say. And how is it possible and what can be done so that we define and we work specifically in regards to game management areas, because these are there, but the problem is that since it is not organized, it is not structured, there's a lot of poaching that happens, which again leads to a kind of a disbalance in the ecosystem of that particular place. So how can we optimize that, and how can we ensure that game management areas such as the both water and in forest, how can we structure it better and how can we organize it better? Ms. Betty, I have not heard you for a long time. Ms. Betty, would you like to take it up, please? And put your inputs, because you are already based in Zambia. So you will be able to give us a better idea. Ms. Betty is there.
No, I don't think she is here. But to just give some perspective on this, I can share my own experience, and maybe that can invite some questions and all that.
Yes.
So game management, I think it can be looked as two or three things, like from a two or three perspectives. One is playful management, or inviting community to be engaging, and that can be one perspective. Second is purely, as the word informs us, game, like putting it on how to manage game and why that is important. And I'm so excited to share one experience. I don't know if anyone has seen one movie just now. Maybe it is not so old. Let me check. It was on a, there was one movie where I will have to find out the name. I'm sorry, I'm so poor at remembering the name, but it was some call, like Formula 5 Grand Prix, Grand Prix motor, these races. And one kid was into it, like playing race cars in his with his game. Like he had a game, um, and he used to play race cars in that game, and he used to spend a lot of time in it, and he used to win all the time, like he was always a winner. And his parents used to get crazy about it, that he's not spending his time properly or balancing his time, and he's putting all his time in this game. And after like when he was about 16 or 17, he read about one competition, and the competition was announced by a racer company who wanted someone who would like they had announced a competition for everyone to enter into a game competition of the racer. And he said, okay, he's going to get into this competition because he is very good at playing this. And so he went into the competition and he won the competition. And then he was asked to get into the real racing. And that was a big challenge to move from game to real racing. And uh, it is a film, so there were many dramatic things in it. But finally, at his final stage, when he was racing, and he had at one point he had to think about the technicality applied in the game, real world, and it worked, and he won the competition. And that was so interesting to me to understand, because currently, most of the time, children, when they have time, they don't go outside to play the game, but they play on computers or maybe on their mobiles. Even, when you are traveling, when you see in train or anything, they are just playing games. Now, playing games and winning numbers is okay, but you should understand the principles and the underlying theory of that game, that how you are able to aim that thing or attain those numbers. And if you understand that science, physical science or chemical science or whatever it may be, that is more important, and you should be an expert of that. And that's why I always say that, yeah, playing game is not bad, but also understanding the principles and the context of that game is very important. Now, when we are moving to the virtual reality world and the 3D world, and I think we will have one, we do have three or four people in our group who are doing metaverse and 3D and virtual reality, but probably that person has gone for a world tour, and so he may not be able to present this in this summit. But you can look at the previous videos he has presented us, and with this 3D, we are able to create an environment. For example, it is forest. We are able to create a forest, a real forest. We are able to create real urban environment. We are able to create a real soccer playground, or a real, racer car competition, and so on. Now, within these, say, for example, if it is a forest, and there are a forest habitat, I would say, the people are living in forest and doing several activities and so on. And if you see that activities, and if you see that, okay, every day one person is cutting 10 trees every day, then you will see the impact in the 3D, that how that will be after 20 years.
Yes.
And likewise, if you see that, okay, there is an desert, and if you plant 100 trees every day, then how much it would be, or how fertile, or what it will change to in 20 years. Then this is an interesting game and a learning game for us, that, okay, if I plant 100 trees, then this will be the impact, and this is how the climate will change, and this is how I will be benefiting or not benefiting. So this is a real world experience we can give through 3D. And therefore, game management is very important here. Likewise, we have these statistics already in place academically, as well as, in practice, but they are not visual to us. And therefore, we never realize it. If they are made visual to us, then we realize it. For example, like we all are in connection from many many months, but because we are having an interaction one-to-one today, we have a personal connection. Otherwise, we may not have. We are just doing text and other things, and we say, okay. So that is what it is bringing, this 3D world to us. And so I believe that, of course, we have started as a games. We have learned that technology, but now that technology must be put into a useful purpose to understand what future lies with us, and how these small factors that are related to that environment, for example, trees, habitat, people living in it, houses, and their activities, these are all factors affecting that environment. And so how this will change in time, and what will be the impact in time. And if we are able to understand that, it would be so nice to have a decision making then. Like we will be informed and we can make a decision. Let me give you a real world example. Lesotho is a country, which is a small country, but it provides 60% of water to South Africa. And it is building 4 dams because it has the water resources, and it is building 4 dams, and the second dam is in phase at the moment. Now, these 4 dams are going to be built in 50 to 100 years, but they are impacting the environment already within 20 years, and the second phase of that second dam, they have lost the environment at a local level. And the farmers and the citizens have lost their jobs, and they have lost their livelihoods because of that change in the environment. The dams have created hydrological degradation over there, and the ecological degradation over there. And now these stakeholders, there are plenty of stakeholders, they have formed a community group of these stakeholders, and they sit on one table and they exchange their view to understand what type of decision and what type of activities we should carry on, so that we we keep on our livelihood, we keep our environment, and we also solve the future problem of water. Or because why they went for that dam and other things, because they got a huge, they thought that they would get a huge income from South Africa by selling water.
Selling water.
Yeah, and they have lost the environment.
But
but if we provide a 3D model of that, then they can see in real world, and they can stay in their own houses. They don't have to travel. They can see in the same, they are virtually in the same room. And for example, the plant person would say, I'm going to put 100 plants here. Whereas the other person who might be in agriculture, he might say, no, I'm going to put a farm here rather than trees because I need crops. And some other person who might be in a livestock may put, I'm going to put some 100 cattle here in this land because I want my cattle to graze. And then other might be thinking of buildings and other things. And so what will be the impact of these all factors, and how we can accommodate all these in one environment? that can be shown through the 3D. And therefore, I'm so excited about this game technology. If it is used in a right way, it can inform us a right, to take us a right decision. So thank you for that. And I will invite questions or maybe more opinions and comments around this.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka. Since we're talking about technology, I would be very interested in knowing that how. Yes, Ms. Waltrod, would you like to add in? Yes, please.
Yes, I
Please
just want
carry
to
on, then I'll put my question.
add just order gaming, just as books. I mean, books can be written in different ways, and just as you need to just put the new ideas into books and the new education into books, it's the same with all the other technology or with gaming or whatever ever people get more and more interested in and just spend the time on it. If it's social media, that's where you have to go. That's where you have to reach the people, and especially the young ones and our new generations who are going to pick up on it. Yeah, thank you, Renuka. Really good ideas.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
It
you,
is a variety of media. You know, we have to reach out and use it for our betterment. Yeah, of course, the appetite for books nowadays is becoming low because of the social media and visual and other things. And these books can be translated in these as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka. I would like to pose a question to everybody. Whoever wants to take it up can take it up and answer. But I would expect my audience to be, involved and engaged. That will be nice. I think your colleague, Ms. Kimmy, has joined in. Would he like to add something before I proceed with my next question?
Sorry, yeah, I actually have another colleague who's having a problem. Maybe we can discuss it in the chat. I don't want to interrupt too much, but there's two colleagues. One of them entered the Zoom, so thank you. But the other one is having a problem with his Zoom link. Thanks.
Okay, but that's the only Zoom link that we have at present. So I'm not sure that maybe there's no other Zoom link that is there. I just saw your message. Is there another Zoom
Can
link?
he
Yeah.
register? Can he register again?
Ms.
and maybe get
Dr.
sent
Renuka has posted the link. You can share it with him. He can register once again and then join in. Have you got it, Ms. Kimmy?
Yes, thank you. I'm gonna send it to him. I think it didn't work before, but okay, thanks.
Yes. Now, when we were talking about technology, the thought that came to me is that now we are talking about technology and AI is the way ahead. Everybody would agree to that because AI is kindly taking off, kind of taking up every area, every sphere, every aspect of our lives. So how do you think and how will it have a positive impact on the natural resource management? Whether be it land, whether be it water, whether be it the animal species or anyone for that matter. Anybody would like to add something, would like to talk about it, and then I'll put in my 2 bits at the end after we have this conversation, because a conversation is always nice. Discussions are always nice when everybody's thoughts and their perspectives are coming to picture. Because one mind can think only one thing, but there's 2 minds and 10 minds together can think 10 different things. So I would be very happy if we can have someone from the audience who would want to talk about it. Anybody there who would like to? That how can AI impact natural resource management, which is the key, because with so much of climate change and everything. Miss Kimmy again, okay, fine. So, Dr. Edward, would you like to say something? Your bandwidth?
Yeah, let me put in something small.
Yes.
First, I'm not very advanced in matters of technology. I'm a rural worker. But then one of the things that I've learned, I used a number of apps within our work to help me identify plants around us.
Okay.
Because one, I'm naturally a plant collector. So usually when I travel out, I pick up plants and then bring them around. And sometimes it's not very possible to know the names of these plants, their uses and everything around them. But then I've used a number of apps, some of them so free. You just take a photo of the plant, then it gives you details about it. And if you're not satisfied with the details, you take another photo. In my phone, I always have at least 4 of these identifiers. They all use AI to help you work on the markers of these particular plants. Recently, I launched one that now helps me to even identify birds and animals and insects. So you just take the photo, then it maps out details of these, and then it gives you some clues of what this could be. And this is an area that can be used if we go back to what Jacqueline was sharing in the morning. It can help to map plants that have already been marked, and then an approach of pedagogy like the one that they were using can be used to now put these plants into little posters that can be shared out so that more information about what is around us can be known. And this reminds me of a time in 2019, I was doing a landscaping job for a client. And this was a house built on a hill. The owner of the home did not know that the stones that he was throwing away were iron ores. For him, they were ordinary stones. And in fact, he was selling a 7-ton lorry of these stones at less than $10. But what he was selling out were iron ores, which could be sold to the smelting companies in Kenya to process iron out of. And this would help replace the dependence on scrap metal in Kenya. So when I told him that this was an iron ore, he was like, I need to recollect what I've sold back. Now he couldn't get it back. Some of it had been used to build in other places. Where I live, I bought land where I live. There was a volcanic action that took place many years ago and created a valley called Lambwe Valley near Ruma National Park. But when this action took place, all the burnt rock, the molten rock and the lava was flown into what we now call Ndewa, where I live. So my home is actually built on molten rocks. So when a primary school teacher visited me and I was sharing with him what a molten rock looks like,
We lost you, Dr. Edward. Okay, by the time Dr. Edward joins in, anybody would like to add something to it? Miss Monica? Anybody?
Yeah, I would like to just share one thing yesterday, which I was not present. Hillary is here, so let him share
Yes.
first.
Yes. Yes, Hillary. Hillary, are you there? Or did we lose you too?
Oh, it's okay. Am I clear? So let me just say.
Yes,
So when we
yes,
talk,
yes.
it's fine. So when we talk about dialect technology, we say that technology should be used for like as a social good. So as we are like as a right now, we are using like technology. So the use of technology when it comes to when we want to align it with natural resource management, actually, the way we are doing this, we should go back in our community and train these people, because you can get a rural boy having a big phone, but he doesn't know how to use it. That's why I came up with Green Solution Initiative together with Monica Dong, actually, like as she's here. So the importance of technology is just to come together to think on how we can actually manage our natural resources. So through that, technology community will now know that if actually we engage in local food production, we shall be able now to reduce the food miles that you shall not have to travel from here to go and buy like as in vegetables. So it's a matter of concern that they are also reducing urban food, like urban footprint. So when you talk about technology, it's the best platform that you can use actually.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Hilary, that, resource optimization, as I would put it, that you see that, okay, with the help of AI technology, you can actually, using a lot of learning of internet sensors or something, you can see that, okay, what kind of uh, crop will give the best the best yield in that particular area geographically. So I think AI can definitely be of help over there. And then at the same time, it also can be used for predictive analytics, like based on it can also be used for predictive analysis, like to say that, okay, if there is something that is going to happen, especially in the agricultural farmlands, especially, that, okay, is there a drought that is expected or anticipated? So maybe those kind of predictive analysis with the help of AI technology will be a boon for agriculture so that they are able to maximize their product. And as you rightly said, locally producing something, maybe AI will be able to support over there, and this will be a positive impact that is there. I know people, there is a lot of apprehension when it comes to AI being replaced, but then if it is used effectively, I believe that it can give results which will only yield production and help everybody get to maximize whatever is being done, whether it is forest resource management or whether it is land resource management or whether it is water resource management. If the AI technology is used effectively, it really will make wonders. So it can help with resource optimization, it can help with predictive analysis, gather data, and with the help of sensors, and AI can use drones and reach places where maybe it's not possible for humanly to reach. At least with that, we can collect the data that is required so that we are able to carry on with it. Yes, Dr. Renuka, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Very similar perspectives I want to share. And, especially going beyond what we see now, like, we have only telephone with us or computer with us, but there are plenty of different tools, especially from the space industry, satellite are being deployed, especially to read or understand what is our climate, how our land use is changing. And there are even satellites and sensors that in the world, wherever there is a fume coming out, and we can understand that, okay, there is a fire and so on, and we can get to it immediately. And so, when we think of like sometimes, like before 1 or 2 years also, I though my daughters are in space industry, I used to say that, industry space industry is making a huge announcements of, I'm doing this, what I'm doing, and my engineers are doing these and so on. But we are at agriculture level, we are not making those announcements, we are not making those, we are not having that I means we are not taking that opportunity to say that we are doing this. But now I understand the connection, because they have moved their objectives to help agriculture and human lifestyle and climate change on earth. And that is important to bring the connection. So there are satellites who can now immediately say that this is the area that is going to be impacted by the flood, and so these people will be impacted, this agriculture area will be impacted, so you can de-risk them by moving away or having some management system in place and so on. So that is very important to understand. Even there are technologies where they can now measure even the slightest change in temperature, pressure, and other things in the sea, and at the uh, uh, mountains which are covered by ice. And so what is happening at a very minute level and how that is going to impact in 2-3 years or 10 years or 20 years or 40 years, that can also be understood immediately and we can act on it. So this is very important. Technologies are very important for us to address climate change. So I will stop here.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka. Yes, it is very important. It has become very important. And it is always good that you embrace it and use it effectively so that you can create a positive impact. Because refraining and saying that, no, I don't think so, is going to leave everybody, like the person who wants to not accept it may be left behind in the long run. Yes, it is not everything, but it is part of everything. That is what the mindset has to be there. Hello, everyone. Besma, I would like, okay. How can the integration of digital technologies enhance sustainable development? And what methodologies and tools are effective in creating sustainable projects? That's a question that has been posed, and that's what I think we were discussing. Maybe you have your question, I think, I don't know whether you have missed it, but we were discussing exactly the same thing, that how digital technology can enhance sustainable developments and what methodologies and tools are most effective in creating sustainable projects for future. Dr. Renuka, would you like to take it up?
I did not read that question. Maybe 1 second, let me look at it. Yeah, yes, I read it.
Yes.
How
Yeah.
can the integration of digital technology enhance sustainable development, and what methodologies and tools are more effective in creating sustainable projects? So of course we are doing these type of projects, like for example tree planting. It is a project that can help us sustainable development and also can achieve some targets for climate change as well. So now how the technology, there are already there which can measure that how much carbon emissions will be emitted as well as collected through that tree, sequenced it through that one tree in that forest. Okay, and how many years will it take to do that? And now if we are able to count that, then we are able to say that, okay, in 40 years time, one tree will be able to offset say for example 1 ton of carbon emissions. So that is helpful to us of looking in a way that how we can then reduce our carbon emissions while we are offset our carbon emissions while we are trying to reduce our carbon emissions at our place. So this is more about understanding in quantitative manner. And again, now when we are talking about sustainable development, we will have to understand that whether this technology is being used and also being developed by equal number of male and female, are they involved in it, how it is going to impact them, because I have seen the cases where most men have phones but women don't have phone, for example, that is, and so they are away from the digital tools or technologies. Even at home, it may happen, that a male has a car, a better technological vehicle to move around and do business, but at home the lady is still having woods to cook her food. Why? Because that is not given importance. So we have to think about those things as well in the technology, that how we provide a clean stove to the lady, how we make a clean air to that lady, and so on. And then only those projects would be sustainable. Along with the economic side of things, that technology may allow us to start the project, but how then that technology would keep it up? I mean, we have to upgrade the technology, or how we can monitor it, how we can evaluate it, and how we can keep our business going. And also it can allow us to gain some economic, advantage on it. That also needs to be thought of. Every time you have to keep on progressing on all these fronts, social, environmental, and economic. Because today, what idea I have said, they might be old now, because we have moved from one on a step ahead, and I have to think of now new technology or new approach to address it. So this is what I think. Plenty of areas or complexity is involved in this. It's not a straightforward answer, but I hope I have given you some flavor on it. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Besma? Any more clarity on that? Anybody else would like to add to it? Dr.
Yes.
Edward?
Oh,
Yes, please. Yeah, please.
yes. Yeah, thank you so much. Kalyango Moses from Uganda, the plant-based campaigner Uganda. I could like to submit more on the technology integration.
Yes, please.
Mostly in our countries and our local communities, because most of these affections sometimes are down to the communities, to the local communities. And we find that in some African countries, in some local communities, even the internet is low. You find that you can be working in an area, like in an agricultural activities, but even you can't access the network in an area, like the internet network. And most of the communities down in the rural communities, most of people are not used to the internet, they are not used to technology, and some of them do still have the phones that are the first generation phones, which just use buttons, where they cannot even go on Google to search some activities. So I think we have a load there, because now technology is more in urban areas, and in urban areas, a little agricultural processes are being carried out, and where we should put the emphasis deep down in the rural communities, most of the people are so blue about what's going on. And I think even that's why even you see the climate crisis sometimes is mostly affecting such places, because they are definitely left out.
Very true. Very true case you have mentioned here. And that is what I wanted people to talk about, that though the NDCs are aspirational, they have a high commitment, not commitment, sorry, high objectives to achieve these targets. And at a ground level, we see these constraints. So now let me tell that yes, I completely agree that many of them are away from this digital opportunity. They are not connected to internet, but there are plenty of other organizations particularly working on, for example, mobile company. There is an association who is working on trying to get phones in the hands of everyone in the world. Secondly, there are also, we are trying to like, not we, not me, but like the whole world, trying to get satellite services where you don't need internet and you can get the services equally equal to those who get through internet. So these developments are happening. What I would suggest at your local level, that if you can get at least one person who has the internet and who has some this type of facility, and if he can become a leader for that community and bring everyone in the umbrella of that facility, then it would be a huge support to that community. So we need to also think that if I am having that facility, then how can I share it to plenty of people near me, beyond me, and so on. And that is the biggest challenge. That is inequality, I would say, in a greater sense. It is an inequality around the world. Those who have opportunities, or those who are better off, and those who are higher at in the equality rating, they are having many opportunities and are well off and they are doing well. They are not happy to share with others, and that is why we are having, that is the main root cause of these inequalities. It is not only happening globally, but it is also happening locally. In Nigeria, one of the person came to me that I want to start a school for needed people and all that. And I said, why can't you get a donation or maybe help or support from the area within you, what you have? Do you have any good organization there? And he said, yes, we have one of the biggest organization who is working on solar energy and they are doing very well and so on. Then I said, why can't you go to them and tell them, let us start a school? And why can't they share some portion of their resources, maybe building, maybe time, maybe whatever in way they can share. Why can't they share and impart education to others? And there is a huge no to that. So it is something that we should think, that how we can mobilize the investment of time, resources, and all money and whatever, human resources and all resources within our community. And therefore, I think I'm very much aligned with the concept of community and sharing economy there. Thank you.
Yes, Vespa, I think you asked a question that is there a numerical tool? There is one tool called LEAD. It helps you in integrating environmentally responsible and resource efficient design principles, which you are wanting to talk about as projects in architectural urban design projects. So LEAD, that is leadership in energy and environment design. And then there is another one tool, which is BREEAM, that is Building Research Establishment Environment Assessment Method, and Green Star. LEEDs, LEED, and Green Star. So these tools you can use for that. And for any geographical, that is a geographic information system, you have the GIS tool, which is ArcGIS or QGIS. That is something that you can use. And for other projects, I think you wanted to integrate the 17 SDGs. So these tools that Ms. Dr. Renuka has mentioned, they will be able to give you that kind of a, thing. And another one thing I'm sure Ms. Dr. Renuka was talking about is the carbon calculator, carbon footprint calculator.
Yes,
So
thank you.
we
Thank
all,
you.
yes.
With leads and Briam, they are more sophisticated tools. You need to be trained in it and you need to apply it through registered people. They are at least for 10 years to given to the building, and you have to assess them, reassess them, and you get certificates depending on, performance of the building. You have to think about from the raw material to the design to the to the operational level, so all the life cycle of the building. You have to think and demonstrate evaluation throughout, monitor and evaluation throughout, and so it is a bit of a work, but it is definitely a good, and worldwide it is accepted. Briam is functional in 80 countries. LEED is also functional in 140 countries, and LEED is mainly developed by US and influenced by US practitioners. Briam is mainly developed by UK and influenced by UK practitioners. LEED is more in developing countries. Briam is more in developed countries. However, I have come across another tool, which is, I will put down, sorry again for the name, but I will put down here link. But it focuses on water, energy, and waste. Only 3 things. And I think these 3 things are very important. And so that would be very easy for you to develop. Again, I would say that it is not important to get into, if only, sorry, it would be really good to set up all these things at your place, and in country level, at every country level, there are some already established organizations who are doing that, so it would be definitely good. But if you are doing at an individual level or at a small scale level, you can definitely put your, have some architect who is already working on green design and connect with them, or that again, green design aspects and principles are already on publicly available. And if you think how you can move to efficient design, then do it yourself. Then that is also okay. And what I would say that you can influence people by showing them as much as possible, by making a video of your house or making a video of your design and so on. So that is where I will stop. I will put 2 links here. I'll put the link to LEED, Briam, and the one other I said, and also to one Wikipedia, which is specially dealing with buildings. And I will put a wiki link to buildings as well. Thank you. Sorry, again about that calculator. Yes, you are right. UK has already developed a building carbon calculator, and that is adaptable to other countries. I am also an expert in carbon calculator and footprints, and I do these footprints for many other countries as well, like Saudi and the others we are developing. However, the main thing is to understand that how to, diminish the problems that you have just now. And you can take maybe start with collecting a survey of your community, first of all, that what problems you have, and then start having solution at the design stage. And that would be really good because you are involving community from the starting point of that, and you are communicating them, and it would be very easy for you to sell out your ideas as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka. I'm sure now Ms. Vesma has got all the answers that she was looking for. I didn't get this question of yours, Ms. Vesma. What about Buzol 21? So I don't know what that you're talking about. If you could just be a little more, given a little more detail.
Yes, you explain if you know more, please do.
We'll be more than happy to. This platform and this summit is here to exchange knowledge so that where we learn from each other and we are able to do what is best possible for us, each of us to do. So, okay. So it's a tool to evaluate project. Okay. What kind of projects do you evaluate with that, Ms. Besma? Only which is related to architectural? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that added information, which even it is good for us to know. So now let's get back. If Mr. Michael, I have seen you here since morning, but I haven't heard you, though I know that you have been part and parcel of, a lot of platforms where you have been talking about sustainability, and you are quite an active member at the Gsfn platform too. So I would love to hear your input on what has been discussed so far during the day. Would you like to add something, Mr. Michael?
Thank you very much, Anita, for inviting me to say something. My name is Michael Wanjuzi Makongo. I am the Gsfn Community East Africa Chair. I also work with the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority at the Entebbe International Airport in Uganda. I am actively involved in climate change, and I'm also a solutionary educator from the Institute for Humane Education in the UK. I work with my community to create awareness, and I'm also an advocate for climate change. And whatever I'm learning here, I go down to the community and apply it with my community members. I have been growing gradually from Gsfn, and I'm still growing. I can't say I've reached there, but I'll get there somehow. So yeah, I do agroforestry. I've planted and grown over 300 trees that are documented. If you add those ones that are not documented, I think there are very many. There are over 1,000 trees, I think so. So, yeah, briefly, that is me. And yes, I'm benefiting very much from the summit. And hopefully, by the end of tomorrow, I'll be a different person altogether. Yes, briefly, that is me. I'm very grateful to Dr. Renuka, who is my mentor, and I'm trying to follow in her footsteps to achieve our intended goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. It's always a pleasure to see you. And I absolutely endorse that you have grown a lot. And I get personal emails from him actually educating me. So I'm very grateful to that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Dr. Renuka.
In general, I would say that, Gsfn has been a platform where people have grown a lot. And the best is that it is a platform where we learn from each other, where we share what we do best, And I think that's what is the essence of GSFN. And that's exactly what we are looking over here, we are doing over here. And hence the reason why I'm saying everybody who's there in the audience, that please share your inputs, because there is nothing that is right and there is nothing that is wrong. My way of seeing things will be different from what you will view something as. So we would be very happy to hear you all out speaking something about what you think can be added on to the discussions that we are already going in. Yes, Dr. Denuka, you want to say something?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. What I will do, because we are talking about how we encourage leadership and what we have done and what he was talking, Michael, about. And so let me share one screen with you and explain what we do, and probably that would be good people to know as well who are here. So thank you very much, Michael, for raising that point as well, and speaking your title very nicely, and I like it. So what we do when anyone joins GSFN, we ask a few questions for people to fill in, and that is one SDG number, which is here for me, I have put 17. This is just an example. You can put any what is drives you. We know that SDG numbers are, SDG goals are very interconnected, but what drives you? That is what we want to know. And then second is, here I have put research, and we have 4 domains, which could be education, research, community, and enterprise. And probably everyone can fit into one of the domain. And here also we want to hear your driver, that what you want to mobilize and where you want to impact. Then it is global. For me, it is global, but I would say write the exact level that in which you can show yourself strong enough. It could be country level, sector level, or maybe regional level, or maybe, even, for example, Michael has said tribal level. So I was very interested in that too. Indigenous level and many other levels you can talk about, school level, university level, and so on. And one of the lady has written home level. So, you can be, you can show as strong as that you are. One of our person who is working for family sustainability he has written family here. So it could be any. And then we want you to write 3 words which prescribes you. So when I read these 3 words, I would immediately think of you that, okay, this might be the person who is doing these 3 activities. And these 6 elements puts you in a unique position, and you are in a chair of these 6 elements of your own expertise. And we do not ask you to do anything extra for us, but you keep on doing your activities, impact in your expertise, and that can be your own work. We don't want to put you an extra stress. And then at the end of the year, we have annual conference where we invite people to self-nominate them, and then they write down the links and other things, like we ask for some evidence, and not a huge evidence, or even the links are fine. And with the face value, we will decide whether we want to give you, this bronze level, or silver level, or gold level, or diamond and platinum award, and so on. And so far in these last 3 years, we have given 500 awards, meaning that we have grown 500 leaderships here, and so please recognize this position that you are in. It is not for GSFN, it is also for your own development. Because at the next time when you receive award, you might think, okay, have I impacted this area? And if I not, let me do it, or let me change my style, or maybe I need to change my area, whatever it is. This is again a career development style, and we are accrediting people as a part of being us. So that is where I will stop. Thank you very much. And I think we have done a very good job of interacting each other. And you can give your final words, and then we can close the session. Thank you, Anita. You are on mute.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Renuka. Of course, yes. It has been an interactive session, and when we are talking about agricultural, Mr. Michael was talking about agriculture, forestry, and other land use where he's working upon. I would talk a little bit about the Convention of Biological Diversity, which is very important. It was one of, if we are able to follow the objectives for which it was created, it will help us streamline and ensure that we are able to manage the natural resources well. The three key objectives of the CBD which was created in 1992. So this struggle is going on since a long, long time. The Paris Agreement was in 2015. And the three objectives are the conservation of biological diversity. When we say that it is a conservation of biological diversity, it means it is life on Earth, including the ecosystem, species, and the genetic resources. Sustainable use of its components, that how well and how sustainably we use the resources, the biological resources that we have. But when we talk about sustainable use of resources, we need to ensure that the use does not decline in the long run. Because that impact, as what Dr. Renuka was talking about, the carbon offset and reduction of carbon footprint, that is very important. So we should not be doing something that we are trying to use the resource sustainably, but at the same time creating a long-term impact where it can actually degrade. So that is something that we need to be mindful about. And then, of course, fair and equitable share of benefits. Once again, Dr. Renuka was talking about it, that we do have, areas where the gender equality, the gender balance, that is missing still. We are growing, no doubt about it, but yet there is a gender gap. And that is what the CBD also emphasizes, for a fair and equitable share of benefits arising from the utilizing of the genetic resources. So I would like to conclude over here and thank all the speakers. I would first want to invite Ms. Walter to say a few words before I end the session. So Ms. Walter, over to you of what has happened during the day and your inputs, your final words of what can be done.
I just want to say it's very inspiring. I was really happy that I was able to join. I came a bit late, but still, and just meet all these amazing people and just discuss all these brilliant ideas. And it would be so wonderful if we would just be able just to get everything done right away, and there's so much inequality, and we just have to change it. We have to just to change the world round, really. So, but it's great that there's so many organizations, so many people who are working on that field, and also that they are working to protect their own country, to protect their own communities and their own people there as well. Yes, because I mean I'm here up in Europe, but it's difficult to actually get them to see how much advantage all the European and Western countries have in relation to the southern countries and the ones who are not part of it. Yeah, and the whole change really needs to come from being able to get all these voices heard and also getting them to access all the opportunities there are out, like from technology and from all the education, and I mean, you name it. I mean, Renuka said it all really clearly, but it's very inspiring just to be part of it, really, and just to thanks for inviting me. Yeah. Yes, and I also wanted to mention, I mean, Renuka, you should put down an article about, and we can publish it through Akbon Foundation on our academic site about the work you do, and we can publish the article also on our websites. So if you put down the article, it would be great. It wouldn't take long, and yeah, and we can get it published there. And just to give everyone an idea, and we can sort of promote it more through our Akbon Foundation outlet, social media as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Walter. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. And sorry, I did not recognize Kimi Kushman. I lately recognized now. And I must mention, she met me in SB, and I was really impressed when she provided her presentation on plant-based treaty. She's advocating for plant. I'm surprised why she did not present her. So I've written her that please come and present next time. But it was nice to see such connection coming forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Would you like to say something, Ms. Kimmy?
I'll be on in the next session, so maybe that would be a better time.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Okay, thanks.
Dr. Edward, is there anything, your last parting thoughts for the day? Any of the audience members?
Hello, Anita.
Yes, yes, Mr. Williams.
Yes, yes, as I always say, this is a fantastic program once again, always learning a lot. So I will continue to use them in our various areas. Kudos to team makers, kudos to everyone, and kudos to Global Sustainable Futures. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, William. Much appreciated. Anybody else? Well, I think then we can call it a day because I know we have another session coming up now right away in some time. So I would like to take this opportunity once again to thank Dr. Renuka, Gsfn, and to our esteemed speakers who were here. Jacqueline, I think, has to leave because she had some other obligations, so she needed to attend. Otherwise, thank you so much to the speakers. Thank you. It was nice hearing you all, and also to our audience. The ideas that were exchanged, I think that will help each one of us learn and grow a little more and be a better, as Mr. Michael had told, that I will be a different person tomorrow. So I think each one of us, as we attend these sessions, we only learn and then we are able to grow a little better. I always believe that there is no competition with anybody that we have. It is we who ourselves, if we are able to make ourselves better than what we are today, that means we have done well. And I think these kind of learning platforms, the summits that we have, the exchange of ideas, when the focus is the same, we are all aligned towards the same goal, which is, again, sustainable living and, of course, the climate change. So when the vision is the same, the focus is the same, it does not matter from where the ideas come and flow through. So let us continue growing like this. Let us continue meeting, connect with each other on LinkedIn, grow together, and make this world a better place, because I believe that we have borrowed this land from our children and we need to give it back to them in the right way. That is, they can enjoy the fruits of it and not feel that we messed it up for them. That's not something which I would want to be remembered for. So let us work together. And thank you once again. It was a great honor, a pleasure to have you all. Thank you, Dr. Renuka. It was wonderful. And thank you for the opportunity once again.
Thank you, Anita, for leading a very fruitful session. Thank you.
Bye, Dr. Renuka. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you, everyone.